up every minute with the fever dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Stroke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to My Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Is tonight the night where we, the people, the world, will be surprised by Iran? I feel weak in the arms. I'm not feeling too good. Like, I haven't been feeling good for a long time, but I feel really weak on my arms and weak throughout my body. And I've been feeling very, very, very weird. And maybe something may happen tonight. Will Iran surprise the world tonight? Good question, right? It's a serious question. It's a question that Israel is going to be finding out soon. The only thing I could think of is if a weapon was transferred over to Iran. And what I mean by that is a weapon from Pakistan. Was a weapon or weapons or information and materials where they pass through Pakistan into Iran, and Iran does have a weapon. I mean, they've been trying to call Israel's bluff for they've been trying to call them and say, oh, you're warmongering. You said the same thing about Iraq, and there was no massive weapon. There's no weapons of mass destruction. I remember when that happened during the Bush years. Bush Jr., the little one. Not Senior. Senior I don't know what's wrong with Senior, but Junior because of what happened with 9/11, which I have a whole outlook on that because that was just a big shit show. From what I see and what I know, it was a shit show. And the fact that it drew us into a conflict with Iraq that cost us billions and billions of dollars. I see why Trump is very hesitant in trying to really push for peace and really try to bring Iran to the negotiating table to resolve this issue as soon as possible. But Iran is very stubborn because you know why? They probably do have a weapon. They have a weapon. And if they're announcing that the world is going to stand and witness something really big happening, the only thing I could think of, to be honest with you, is them shooting a whole bunch of ballistic missiles at one time, like throwing like 200, maybe 100, 200 at one time, and then in that barrage, sending an atomic weapon. So you have an entourage coming in, and then you have the main event coming from behind. And once these missiles get blasted and destroyed by the Iron Dome, then you have the big payload coming from behind with the nukes. And that will be the beginning of World War III. Guarantee you. No ifs, what's, buts. I don't care what the media says, because the media, they're nothing but propaganda. We know this already. The news never tells the truth. You know this already. Like, they never say the truth, and when they do, they'll beat around the bush. If an atomic or a nuclear weapon gets detonated tonight in Israel, I guarantee you the U.S. will get in and will be involved and will destroy Iran, and it will probably bring in other players in to the conflict. This is going to be something huge if it does happen tonight. It will go down in history. It would be something that's so scary that you definitely give your kids and your loved ones a hug tonight, because it's something that's going to be, if it does happen, it's just going to be so devastating if it does. But we will check out some live feeds. So while we're here, let me see if there's anything going on the live feeds. So far, I'm not seeing anything. I could show you real quick. Let me come over here. Give me a second so I can set this up. Actually, let me come over here. Share this one right here. And this is what I'm talking about. We'll be monitoring it tonight. We'll check out a couple of radars and, well, a couple of videos, live feeds from Jerusalem. And right now, there's nothing really going on. Earlier, there was a barrage of, and I think they were testing the system because they sent about 20 missiles to Tel Aviv, and the Iron Dome did a pretty good job, but some did come through. And I heard the booms and the blast, and very, very creepy, man. I don't know how these people could sleep at night. Every night going through this shit is so creepy. But if it does happen tonight, I don't know. Could it be the night? Could this be the shock and awe that they were trying to do back in the days? Like I said, back to the junior days, Bush with the shock and awe, which it was not really of a shock, maybe a little bit of a awe, but not really shock. This would definitely hit the shock and awe if they do hit Israel with a nuclear weapon. This will signify the beginning of the end of Iran. the U.S. will get involved. All their military ships, submarines, like battleships, they're all information. They're already in the area. They're already in striking distance. And if it does go down tonight, it will go down as one of the most craziest moments ever in my life. I would say, still being alive and witnessing this. I could highlight some of my highlights of what I've been through in my life. I remember watching when I was a little boy, where the Challenger exploded. I remember that, watching that on TV. I remember 9/11. I was sleeping and my mom woke me up, and she scared the shit out of me, waking me up and told me what was going on. And I turned on the television and I'm seeing this for myself, and then I notice another plane comes and hits the World Trade Center, and I saw that live on TV, and I'll never forget that. These moments in history, you tend to not forget, and it gets embedded in your mind, and it gives you anxiety. It gives you a lot of anxiety because the world is so uncertain, and the world is such a beautiful place, but humanity is what's making it a horrible place. And and I wish that humanity could find a way to come to peace instead of threats and talks of war and chaos and these protests that are senseless protests. It does not make any sense. It's like the Democrats really want this distraction for some reason, and yet they're not getting the attention as much as they scream and fight and punch and fire, and it doesn't matter. There's bigger fish to fry, and the society here needs to realize that you're about to witness possibly the biggest event since World War II. And if it does happen that way, it's gonna get really, really bad, really fast. And I'm happy to be here alive to witness it with you guys. It's something that I am recording right now. It's live, and the people of the future. Hi, how you doing? For the people in the future, not for the ones who are watching. The ones who are watching, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Love you guys. For the ones who are rewatching, thank you so much. But the people in the future who will be watching this after my death, I tell you how I feel. I feel very nervous. I do feel nervous. And I feel weak in the arms, very weak in the body, very weak. Like, I know something's gonna happen. It's something that is gonna mark history, and it's so sad. It's sad that humanity can't come to peace. They just want everything to be in pieces. They don't want stability. They want destruction and conquer, and that's how it's been always. This planet has gone through so many phases, and we're here at this phase, at this time, at this hour, where threats are made and promises. Let's see if they're going to be kept. And tonight might be the night. The U.S. has already mobilized a lot of jets, a lot of materials, a lot of heavy materials and heavy duty bombs, heavy duty B-2 bombers already over there. They're ready to go. They're ready to rock and roll. I know the B-2 bombers are ready to go. There's a lot of jets that are ready to go. It's almost showtime. All we need is the trigger. Is Iran going to do the unthinkable? Will Iran display to the world its capabilities? Will it be only Israel that they attack, or will they go after others during this attack that the world will be talking about for centuries to come. It's centuries. I'm talking about the future. Not right now. We're talking about the future humans, the ones that are not even here and won't be here for like another down the line. This could get really nasty, and if World War III comes to fruition, I I'm just glad to witness it. That's all, you know. But let's see whatever. I got some windows I opened up. I do have Jerusalem here. You can see a live feed from. This is actually the West Bank here, Jerusalem. Um, and if we do see, we're gonna see them coming up from up here. So I'll keep an eye on it. I can music prayers. Usually they play this before an event happens or an attack. They play this throughout the city because they know, they feel something big's gonna happen. It sucks, man. The feeling is really scary. So we'll put this on a silent. We're gonna go to some feeds that I have open up, some stories that I haven't seen yet, but I would like to watch with you guys together. So let's go ahead and start with this one first. Okay, let me pause real quick because I don't know if the sound is working. Because I'm getting a message again. Like this is the StreamYard shit is driving me crazy because it says your browser has lost connection to your the screen share audio. So I'm having this issue with the damn share screen audio. If you could hear, actually, you know what? Let me just take it down and then restart it because it seems like it's going to be a problem tonight. I'm going to make sure to call StreamYard tomorrow and let them know what's going on because this is ridiculous that I'm having this issue and I shouldn't be having this issue at all. But let's go ahead and replay it and see if you got volume. If you hear the volume, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Albie, what's up, Albie? Let's try this again.
The president put out on his social media that the U.S. knows where the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei is in hiding, but they're not going to kill him.
You know exactly where he's hiding. The supreme leader
to be, it could be read, I think, in one way as a last attempt to get him to accept a negotiated solution.
Wow, a last attempt. He's not gonna do it.
He has continually rejected the demands that, or has continually refused to make concessions
nothing to lose
that would satisfy both the United States and Israel. And so it's, I don't know that it's an empty threat, but it's certainly a powerful one, and one that is designed to strengthen an already strong hand that that the U.S. has now that the Israelis have taken it upon themselves to go in and hit these nuclear sites. So again, we'll just have to wait and see what emerges from this meeting at the White House. But certainly that the rhetoric has amped up in the last 24 hours and doesn't appear to be letting up.
No, it's not letting up, and it's getting more intense and intense and intense as the hour goes on and on and on. The American people don't want another war. It's true, we don't want another war, but I feel like they're trying to drag us into it, and Iran is a part of the puzzle to trigger the U.S. to do something. And the only way this is gonna happen is if Iran attacks Israel with an atomic weapon, with a nuclear weapon, or if Iran attacks American bases in Iraq. Now, if Iran goes after the troops that are there in Iraq and in Syria, yes, the U.S. will get involved, because they're not going to sit around and see their soldiers die and have their soldiers die and not respond back. You will have a strong response if you harm any of the United States soldiers that are serving out there in the Middle East. So with that said, this check this out here, and we'll go through the stories. I'm monitoring the live feeds of Jerusalem as I'm playing these stories, so we don't miss any action.
Politico is calling the conflict Trump's moment of truth. Quote, "It's hard to overstate the significance of this moment. American involvement in this war could end Iran's nuclear ambitions and even topple its autocratic government, reshaping the Middle East for decades to come." The New York Times with this headline, "Trump's Iran choice, last chance diplomacy or a bunker-busting bomb." KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, is here. And I know you have had many of your children, grown children, serving in the military, and you have a lot of experience at these points in time when presidents are making these types of decisions. What stands out to you, the president in with his advisors today?
Look, I've been in the Situation Room with President Trump where he's had to make decisions like this. He is really good. This is his finest moment. He's cool. He gathers intelligence. He doesn't get the yips. He finds out from his military leaders, his diplomatic leaders, his intelligence leaders, what are his options? And then he probably thinks of 2 or 3 other options that nobody else has thought of. So what am I looking for right now? President Trump has said it pretty well. Iran's not going to get a nuclear weapon. And then he said, well, let's wait and see. President Trump, I don't think he needs to make the decision right now of whether to attack Fordo, whether not to attack Fordo. Who knows what the Israelis have? We know that the Israelis have commandos on the ground in Iran. Maybe there are other ways to destroy that nuclear weapons site other than bunker-busting bombs that American military drop.
Yeah, and I see you focusing on that because that Fordo is exactly what people are saying. If you don't take that out, you don't take away that pause in future capability. I want to get to this, because sometimes our assets can be enough for an enemy to see, and they are on the move. The USS Nimitz, which is the oldest active U.S. aircraft carrier, deployed from the South China Sea yesterday, headed toward the Middle East. Dozens of Air Force refueling tanker aircraft have been moved to Europe to position closer to the Mideast, giving President Trump and the CENTCOM commander more tactical options. And it's just part of the United States' effort to shift military resources, including ships to the region, as tensions are obviously escalating. So you've got that on the move, and that in itself sends a signal. Your thoughts, KT?
Yeah, I was in the Reagan administration working at the Pentagon the last time the United States and Iran came anywhere close to a military conflagration, shall we say. I mean, Iran was trying to do things in the Gulf, and the United States Navy just stopped them cold. And a lot of the senior leadership now of the Iranian military would have been the young military officers in the 1980s when that happened. They would certainly be aware of it. I don't think they want to tangle with the United States because, as President Trump has said, you know, don't mess with Americans. And he said it whether he's talked to the Taliban, whether he's talked to the Russians, whether he's talked to anybody. You harm the hair on the head of one American, and then we're coming to get you. So that's got to be a huge deterrent, especially for a leadership which is probably under a certain amount of internal stress. I mean, if you're the Ayatollah, if you're those generals, you've got to look at the guys to your left, to your right. Mossad has thoroughly integrated and infiltrated a lot of the military in Iran and the leadership in Iran. They've got to worry about their own job security.
I thought it was interesting and just supreme strategy, if you will, if you just are watching this from that perspective, to put the message out that there was some thinking about taking out the Ayatollah Khomeini. And then President Trump thought, no, we won't. I mean, that is a huge sign of, well, we could if we wanted to, but we won't right now. So more of that in their heads as you're talking about. Fox News contributor and former Reagan administration official here, Hugh Hewitt, may have known you, KT, says what we are seeing in the Mideast right now is truly a historic moment.
Israel has unleashed a shock and awe campaign, the likes of which Iran has never experienced. President Trump has allowed this to happen. He greenlit this. He was masterful in his ambiguity last week, though he dropped a few breadcrumbs that people were paying attention along the course of last week, indicating he thought the negotiations were going to fail. He gave Iran 60 days. He said it again and again. Those two men, Netanyahu and Trump, have arranged for Iran to feel jolts of the sort they have never felt before, and Israel has methodically reduced all the threats, and now they're going to reduce the threat from Iran.
KT, your reaction?
You know, the other part of this equation is not only has Israel and the United States taken out all of Iran's defenses, Iran's now defenseless, but who hasn't been playing in this game? What other big powers who we know are interested in the Middle East who you haven't heard anything from? Russia, China. A couple of weeks ago, President Trump said, after his phone call with Vladimir Putin, he said, maybe Putin can help me in the Middle East. Nobody paid any attention to that. But is that phone call on the way?
You know, what's interesting, real quickly before I let you go, and I said this atop this hour, we took it live when the president said it yesterday from the G Summit before he left early. He was calling then to pay attention to the fact that Russian President Vladimir Putin was not at the table making it a G8. He talked about the dismantling of getting Russia out when Obama was president, and how the former Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, had worked to make that happen. And that goes along with what you're saying. Look, he's watching this with Gestalt view, looking down and saying, what pieces would help me put this together? Perhaps he and Vladimir Putin would have talked at that summit had it truly been a G8.
Yeah, and also remember, President Trump is looking way beyond what happens in the Iran-Israeli conflict. He's looking at what happens next in the Middle East. Is there peace? Is there a nuclear weapon? Does anybody get nuclear weapons? But also, what happens to Iran afterwards, the day after?
Yeah, that's going to be crazy the day after. We'll see tomorrow, but right now it just does not look good. Things are just going to rapidly go downhill. It's just, this was from earlier today. Take a look.
Fox News alert, the Israeli military says missiles launched from Iran towards Israel are raining down right now. Trey Yingst is standing by in Tel Aviv. Trey.
Yeah, Jesse, you can hear behind me there are sirens sounding as ballistic missiles are fired at this city. Air defense systems are currently active over Tel Aviv with hundreds of thousands of people into bomb shelters at this moment. Unhook. Get off. All right, we got it. We're going to move. Okay. Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Give me 1 second, Jesse. I'm with you.
Damn, their room is so nasty. I don't know why they're the press, but they should keep that room a little cleaner. I'm just saying.
1 second, Jesse. We're going to give you a quick update.
But this was earlier.
I'm with you. Jesse, I got you back.
There's a shelter-in-place order right now. We hear the sirens. Trey, are you with me?
Yeah, Jesse, I'm with you. We got disconnected for a moment from our IFB there. You could see a lot of those missiles coming off as they were trying to intercept some of that incoming fire. We saw the first one go out to the sea, and because they could track where it was going, they let it get intercepted out at sea. This is an indication that the Iranians still, as the Americans are deciding whether or not they want to get involved in this war, are firing on major population centers. Again, we have to make the decisions very quickly to move. That's part of what you just saw there. We'll stay as long as we can. And you can hear there's a massive explosion overhead. And once we have another minute, we're going to go out and see if anything was hit. But you could just hear that explosion there, Jesse. And that's why we get off the balcony as the fire starts to get heavier. But again, this has been going on for the past 4 days as the Iranians respond to these strikes that are taking place across their territory. And despite the fact that the Israelis told us earlier today that they were able to take out around 40% of the missile launchers, we understand that they have not been able to take out all of them. And so we expect to see more of this type of fire in the days ahead.
Trey, what is your understanding from the intelligence community? How much missiles have the Iranians stockpiled? Are they able to go tit for tat with Israel, and for how long?
Yeah, so they have around 2,000 missiles, according to a senior Israeli intelligence official that I spoke with over the weekend. The concern here is that they're not able to hit all of the stockpiles because the Iranians have been preparing for the war that is currently taking place with Israel for the past few decades. And so they not only will stockpile missiles in the sides of mountains and deep underground, but they hide the launchers. And so these are mobile launchers in many cases. Eventually, they will run out of missiles. And that is part of the reason that Israeli officials are encouraging the United States to get involved at this very moment, because they understand it's a window of opportunity. They have weakened the Iranians enough that they've taken out many of the missile launching platforms. They have struck both the Isfahan and the Natanz nuclear facilities. And they have left just really a large facility called the Fordow facility, where the most advanced part of the Iranian nuclear program is currently developing. And so if we see the Americans get involved, this is one of the likely targets, because America has bunker buster bombs. They have the ability to strike even deeper underground than the Israelis do. And according to that pilot that I spoke with earlier, an Israeli fighter jet pilot, he told me they've taken out much of the air defense around the Iranian capital. And this gives Israel the ability to start striking in deeper parts of Tehran. And we're just going to walk back out here, Jesse, because again, it's a very fluid situation when we're covering these moments. And you will notice over the past 4 days, whenever we have to make decisions, we make them very quickly. We have a security team member with us, and they address how much incoming fire we're getting, what direction it's coming from. And when they make the call, we move very quickly to get out of the way and get cover. From what I can see here, there are no direct impacts in this area. We'll get initial reports in about other parts of central Israel. We're very careful about the locations, understanding that this is a volatile situation that is changing each and every minute. Jesse?
All right, Trey, a lot of respect for your bravery.
Just
Great
wild.
reporting. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean, wild night tonight for sure. Let's see. Let's go to the next one here. Check out Sky News. See what Sky News has to say.
Israel and Iran are exchanging fire. Explosions have been heard in Tehran, and state media has reported that air defences have been activated in the west of the capital. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it has hit Israel's military intelligence directorate and an operational centre of the country's military intelligence agency, Mossad. These are live pictures out of Tel Aviv at the moment. You can see it's after 10 o'clock at night here. Not seeing any activity.
This was from earlier,
but Iran's
about a couple hours
for
back.
People in Tel Aviv and Haifa to evacuate
I do have live feed
ahead of a punitive operation.
And nothing's
the Israeli
happening
military
so
says
far
it
right
has
now.
detected a new wave of Iranian missiles in the past 30 minutes. Thousands of people have been attempting to flee Tehran after Donald Trump posted on social media calling for the city to be
Look at that
evacuated.
traffic. Oof. You know, and I believe what's happening
Tel Aviv
is
skyline and the familiar sounds of an array.
we'll pause this for a second, but what I believe what's happening, and let's come back to me. Trump is trying to buy some time. He's trying to buy time, and what he's trying to do is buy time for the innocent people to get out, to migrate and move away from Tehran, move away from certain areas in Iran that are going to be targeted. He knows what's everything that's going on. Trust me, they have intel like crazy. They have satellites, they have imagery, they have everything that you could think of. It's that Iran's already been scanned. So they know where everything is at and what's going on. So the United States is just trying to buy time to get the innocent people away from those areas. They keep talking about the west side of Iran and so forth. They're not really talking about the east side of Iran, because the east side has a lot of like ballistic missiles and really hypersonic missiles. And yes, they have. And you got to remember, they are bordered with Pakistan. And I'm sure Pakistan is playing some kind of a little role here. It just makes you think. It's just, is it really happening? Is Pakistan influencing Iran and giving them certain types of weapons and materials and like for the bomb? And does Iran actually do have a bomb that possibly could be detonated tonight? Could be forced upon Israel tonight? That's going to draw in the US and everyone's just going to go shit back crazy because this is a great opportunity for others to get involved. And not only that, but it's a great opportunity for China to go after Taiwan. I mean, they did move a battleship from the South China Sea and they're moving it towards Iran into the Indian Ocean. And it gives it prime time for China to say, fuck it, this is our time too. Let's go after them. And World War III breaks out. It's everybody, the whole world's at war. That's what wars are. It's the instability of the whole world going fucking crazy. And it happened 2 times already, and it's gonna happen a 3rd time. So let's go back to this news feed. We'll finish up on that. Let me take a quick look at what's going on here live from Israel. A whole bunch of cameras up here. It looks pretty quiet right now. I do have a live feed from Jerusalem, courtesy of the AP. And is it going to be the shock and awe tonight? Are we going to be shocked? Are they going to really hammer down on Israel tonight? I mean, when your back is against the wall and you have no other options, you know, you're going to do anything and everything to protect yourself. And Iran, you know, could set up and throw a whole bunch of missiles at Israel with a special surprise behind. And I hope it doesn't happen. I really hope it doesn't happen, because if it does, it's going to be one long night, and the U.S. will light up the skies, and the U.S. will destroy Iran if they even dare try to hit Israel with a nuclear weapon, any type of nuclear weapon, or even an atomic weapon. That will be so fucking weird, man. And I hope I don't see it tonight, because if I do see it tonight, because I'm feeling so weird, my arms are feeling so weak, and so, like, I feel like I swam like like all day today. Like, and I didn't do much of anything today, but my arms are so weak, and I feel so weak, and not feeling good. I haven't been feeling good for a long time, and it's been this, between the fucking sun and the solar flares and that energy so high and the wars going on, and, you know, Ukraine and Russia has been very quiet. You haven't heard much from the Ukraine and Russia war, because all the attention is in Israel and Iran. You know, and Zelensky was at the G7, and Trump wasn't even there to talk to him. Trump was like, peace, I'm out. Fuck y'all bitches. I got other shit to do. I got bigger fish to fry. Y'all want a cocktail and mingle together and play, you know, I don't know, footsies? I'm not down for that shit. I'm out. I got business to take care of. You guys could just fuck around on your own. I got to get to the situation room. I think Trump he's playing tug of war in his mind. Like, what would be the best scenario for not only us Americans, but the whole world? You know, because they look up to Trump. The whole world looks up to Trump and is watching him, because he's getting the spotlight. The world spotlight is on Donald Trump and what he's going to do about Iran. I hope he makes the right decision. I hope he's not influenced by these, like, insider. I think there's, like, internal spies within his administration that are influencing him. I believe it because I feel it, and it's just this a weird energy that the globalists are really controlling the world, and the globalists wants this to happen because they see dollar signs, they see money, money, money. And the more we have instability, the 1% is very happy. And are we going to cater to that, or are we going to continue to seek peace through negotiations? We're going to find out real soon. I think time's running out for the negotiations. I think it's going to be a call to action, and it's going to be all upon Iran, man. It's right there, man. I think the Ayatollah is just eating shit. Listen, he's old. He knows his life is done. He's not like it's game's over. You know, it's they know where he's at. They Trump already he already mentioned, we know where you're at. We know where you're hiding. We know the tunnel you're at. All it takes is one bunker buster bomb and bye-bye. And Trump doesn't want that. Trump does not want to kill. He's not a killer. He's not. He doesn't. He only kills people that have done harm to us and has killed us Americans, and not only us, but throughout the world. And this is going to be really crazy. It's going to be really, really, really crazy. But let's go ahead and go back to the story here from Sky News. Actually, this is Jerusalem. It's a live feed from Jerusalem. If I see any actions, which I don't see anything right now, I'll be going back and forth. But if I do see some kind of action, I will. Did I just see something there? No. I was just saying, did I see something? But no, I did not. Let's go ahead and go back to that news feed from Sky News.
Iranian salvo. Another wave of missiles in a conflict with no clear off-ramp. One that's playing out on people's doorsteps, here quite literally. This is Zema in central Israel and the smoking remains of an Iranian attack. Israel also seems far from backing down. This strike in Isfahan, and it's claiming to have killed Iran's new wartime chief of staff too, destroying the new guard days after taking out the old, and not ruling out toppling the supreme leader either.
I came here to strengthen the residents of Herzliya and to send a clear message to the dictator in Tehran, Khamenei. If you continue to commit acts of war and launch missiles at the civilian population in Israel, your fate will be exactly like that of the dictator in the neighboring country to Iran, whose end is well known.
A veiled warning he could meet the same fate as Saddam Hussein, Iraq's former leader. Tehran is talking tough too. The state broadcaster defiantly celebrating a return to the studio on the same day it was bombed. Iran claims it's also hit military and intelligence targets in Israel. Israel has yet to respond, and the military has banned any broadcast of those sites. But not ones like this, civilian, and it would appear unintended. A bus parking lot in Herzliya. In one strike, Amar says he lost his life's work. Do you fear this conflict with Iran?
We need peace. We need to work. We need to live like humans, not in war. The last 2 years, all we can do is follow the news and worry about the future of the country.
The missile hit here in the morning. It felt like a slight shift in rhythm. Most people we've been speaking to have come to expect attacks overnight, but this caught some.
Is she in the middle of the bus walking?
It's perhaps part of a broader
This girl's crazy.
strategy by Iran to make Israel look exposed, but the Iranian regime still looks firmly on the back foot.
So much of the days, weeks, maybe even years ahead depend on what Donald Trump does next. Yesterday, he told around 10 million people in Tehran to evacuate. On Air Force One, he's promised something much better than a truce.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
But whatever battle of words or weapons is happening in the air, on the ground, there are no signs of capitulation or compromise, and plenty of scope for miscalculation.
Wow. That's so wild. That's such a wild story. Let's go to another story here from Fox News.
So let's get straight to Trey Yingst live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey.
Yeah, Will, good afternoon. The Iranians continue to launch ballistic missiles into Israel, but their salvos are getting much smaller. Just last hour, air raid sirens were sounding across the northern city of Haifa earlier in the day, in the Negev desert in the south, and here in central Israel this morning. While Iran is far weaker, according to the Israeli intelligence assessment, they still have the capability to launch these ballistic missiles. But the big question today, Will, is whether or not the United States is going to get involved in the fight. The IDF tells Fox News they have destroyed around 40% of Iran's ballistic missiles, but still, Israeli officials want to go after the country's nuclear program. And as we look forward here, there are a variety of targets, not only in the capital of Tehran, but also other places across the country that the Israelis would like to hit. We spoke over the weekend with a senior Israeli intelligence official who said this could be over in a matter of days. They want to target not only the IRGC, but also a variety of airfields in Iran. Earlier today, I spoke with an Israeli pilot who described flying over the skies of Iran, watching as Iranian pilots were taking off, headed toward the center of the country. But tonight, the Israelis not only claim air superiority over Tehran, but they are expanding their operations, looking to put new pressure on the Iranian regime. Will?
Trey, is that prediction that you have heard, that this all could be over in a number of days, is it your understanding that that prediction relies on American involvement offensively against Iran?
The Israelis have a lot of capabilities, and they've been preparing for months for this operation. But the United States has the ability to strike deeper at Iran's nuclear program. We know that Isfahan and Natanz, these two key nuclear facilities, have been hammered by Israeli airstrikes. But the Fordow nuclear facility has a lot of infrastructure that is deep underground. And we talk about the U.S. bunker buster bombs, and those are likely the weapons that would be used if President Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth authorize American strikes against Iran. We've seen over the past 48 hours a lot of U.S. assets headed this direction in preparation for such a strike. We've been talking with regional sources to try to get an understanding about what that American involvement would look like. But look, the Israelis are not only using their offensive capabilities with airstrikes targeting the Iranian regime, they're also trying to support any sort of intelligence capabilities. We saw, as you noted at the top there, this intelligence operation using an Israel-linked hacker group to go after a key bank belonging to the IRGC. This is looking to put pressure on the regime so that the population that you currently see fleeing the Iranian capital of Tehran would ultimately turn on their leaders, on the Ayatollah, on the president of Iran. So far, the Israelis have stopped short of striking politicians. They've stopped short of striking Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah. But we do know President Trump earlier today said they know where he is and have the capability to hit him, but they haven't decided to do so yet. Will?
All right. Thank you for that, Trey Yingst.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to support.
Now let's jump over to another one. Let me see. Who should we go to? This one's about 13. This one's about a 6. Let's go to the 6th one first. Let's go over to Fox News and listen in.
We bring in retired 4-star General Joseph Votel. During his nearly 4 decades of service in the Army, he led Special Operations Command and Central Command, overseeing military operations in the Middle East. He's a distinguished military fellow at the Middle East Institute. General, very good to have you back on the program today. So you hear this discussion that it appears that the president, and of course he could change his mind on this at any moment. They're in discussions right now in the Situation Room, but it appears that the sending the vice president, J.D. Vance, and Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy, to have one more discussion with Iran appears to be a bit taking a back seat at this point. And we see these military assets moving now. What is your assessment of where things are and how long it might take to actually see this kind of strike that's being considered on Fordow?
Yeah, thanks, Martha. It's great to be with you. I think what we're seeing right now is the president trying to take maximum leverage opportunity here of the situation that's been created by the very devastating Israeli strikes and that have really rendered the air defense capability of Iran mute and have really begun to have impacts not just on the nuclear weapons program, but on the military overall. And I think the president sees that this may be an opportunity for us to get to an end state that we've been after for a long time. That is Iran not having a nuclear weapon. So in my view, I think he is trying to put as much leverage, as much pressure as possible on the Iranian regime right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the word that you use, and we hear him talk about control of the skies, and that's because these Israeli attacks have been so effective in knocking out Iranian defense systems, and they have a clear run into the country, which has never happened before. They also have none of their proxies active in this fight. No Hezbollah, no Houthis, none of that is impairing the ability to get at this site. With all of your experience in the Middle East, is this an opportunity that should not be passed by, in your opinion?
Well, it's certainly a very unique situation. I mean, many of the assumptions that we've had about the Middle East and about Iran have largely disappeared. The fact that Hezbollah in the past could hold Israel at risk if they chose to do something like this has completely disappeared. The seemingly invincibility of the Iranian air defense system and the effectiveness of their ballistic missile program is, with some exceptions into Israel, of course, has largely not manifested itself. So it is a key opportunity. Now, whether we choose to follow through with that militarily or whether we choose to put more pressure on it and approach it diplomatically, of course, is a decision for the president of the United States, and one that I'm sure is being discussed at this very minute in the White House.
What is your sense, having worked in this region for so long, of the Ayatollah and how much of his own military infrastructure and his personal support structure? His chief of staff was taken out yesterday, I believe. He's 86 years old. You know, what is your sense of what he will do at this sense, having watched him over all these years?
Yeah, I think a lot of the sources of power and influence for him are going away very, very quickly. Not just subordinate leaders, but his control over the people. I think is very much compromised at this particular point. So his authority as the supreme leader, I think, is being diminished. Now, he's been in place for a long time. There still is a lot. It still largely is a police state. So he does exert some control over the population, but that has certainly been diminished. And the Iranian people are now seeing the result of his policies being played out in their own streets on a regular basis, at least over the last 5 days or so.
How many alternatives are there? I want to play this bunker buster video again, General, which shows how this munition would work, how this 30,000 pound bomb would work. And then there's also some discussion about other alternatives of, cutting off the power systems to this facility, or potentially cracking the surface of it to destabilize what's underneath. What's your take on, are there other ways besides this that we're watching, which look pretty effective, than getting at this?
Yeah, well, I think we have to think of this nuclear weapons facility at Fordow as kind of a system of systems. And so when you attack power supply, for example, when you attack the logistics nodes or the transportation nodes or the other supporting facilities for it, you're definitely going to have an impact on the overall enrichment facility. It may not destroy it in the same way that a GBU 57, the MOP would, but it would definitely have an impact on it. And loss of power in these centrifuges can cause them to fail in a significant way that would make it very difficult for them to return to their purpose of enriching uranium.
So interesting. Thank you, General. I saw one assessment that even the ventilation system would make it impossible to work in the area. That's another potential way. And we spoke to one of the Israeli advisors yesterday who talked about there's a number of ways to get at this. So that's got to be part of the conversation that's happening right now in the Situation Room as well. General Votel, really wonderful to have you with us, sir. Thank you.
Great to be
We
with
may
you.
need
Thank
you
you.
in the coming days.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Let's go to another story here. I'm still looking live. As you can see, I'm still looking at Jerusalem. I'm actually pulled up another tab here, which I'm gonna be tapping into real quick. It's the real BP Earthwatch. You guys probably know him. He's running a live right now, and he's talking about the sun. The sun is throwing out some X flares, and let's listen in and see what he has to say about it. Let me just set it up real quick. He's not going to be saying anything, but that's okay. It looks like there's been a couple of X flares that have popped off from the sun and heading towards Earth. It's Earth facing too, so it's all the elements, everything's all in place for something really big to happen, man. As much as I don't want it to happen, it might happen. And this is like the calm before the storm. This is the calm before the storm. As you can see, the sun is rising in Iran, and is there going to be any strikes now? I don't know if it's going to be now. It might be later on tomorrow. Like, because you got to remember, they're already in tomorrow. they're the people of the future right now. Because they're already on Wednesday. We're stuck over here on Tuesday. And Iran looks very pretty. I mean, blue skies. Looks like a normal day. Peaceful, normal day. Don't let it fool you. Are they going to have a daytime attack, or is it going to be a nighttime attack, a night effect? You get more dramatic during the night than you do during the day. Not sure exactly what's gonna happen, but as you can see, we'll find out for sure. I definitely like BP Earthwatch's what he has going on here. But if I could go to right here, he does have the solar flare that exploded, which you can possibly see it right here. Let me just turn off this sound thing he has playing there. Let me go back. Come on, I put the sound off and it comes back on tonight. The internet, the whole feed, everything's just been a little weird. Man, I just had that. Okay, here's the sun. Let's see, I can go back a little bit more. You see right there, that explosion that just happened, like right in here. I wish I could like bring it back just a little bit more. Oh, great. Well, we'll wait till it comes back around because I'm not gonna just keep messing with this thing. It's so finicky. Okay, here we go. Look at the explosion right here. There it is. You see how it hit the camera and it like kind of flashed right there? That flash is an X flare. And that flash is Earth facing right here. So possibility for northern lights within the next few days, yes. How strong is it? I don't know. It did look pretty strong there if they're classifying it as X flare. But we'll keep an eye out on BP Earthwatch. We're gonna go live on it. So we are live on the BP Earthwatch. Everything looks pretty peaceful there. It doesn't look too crazy. Jerusalem right now actually is not looking too bad neither. And we have other cameras here. everything's not looking too bad. Is it a telltale sign of things to come? Possibility. Will it get down to that craziness? Oh man, I hope not. But let's see if I could bring up another story here real quick while we're waiting for. Hopefully, if it doesn't happen, that'd be great. But it's like I said, they usually attack during the nighttime and not so much in the day. If they do attack during the day, that's unique, but it does happen. But usually you get the more effects at night. Let's see if we go to another report here. Okay, I got those two. Let's go over to Live Now with Fox.
Amid those tensions rising in the Middle East, and we're hearing reporting from Edward Lawrence saying the Situation Room meeting had lasted about an hour and 20 minutes, but it came to a conclusion. Also, another post saying the White House official telling him the meeting with the national security advisors in the Situation Room starting soon. They talked about strikes inside Iran on targets, likely the facility where Iran has its nuclear program. Strikes are on the table. Let's bring into the conversation right now senior fellow with JINSA and former national security advisor under Vice President Dick Cheney, John Hanna. John, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. What type of conversations went on inside of that Situation Room, and what are they talking about in relation to potential strikes against Iran?
Thanks for having me, Andy. I think they're clearly looking now at real live options for U.S. intervention on Israel's side to go after these Iranian nuclear sites, particularly that deepest, most important nuclear uranium enrichment site that the Iranians have at Fordow, built several hundred feet under the ground, under reinforced concrete that only U.S. bunker-busting bombs can get to, delivered by U.S. strategic bombers that Israel doesn't have. There's also a need. Israel's over the skies of Iran constantly, destroying missiles, destroying other nuclear sites, destroying military leadership sites. They have a lot of planes in the air a long distance from Israel to sustain that kind of pace of operations. They could really use some advanced U.S. aerial refueling capabilities, probably over the skies of Iraq, that Israel also doesn't have, that would dramatically enhance its ability to keep its Air Force in the air 24/7.
It's very interesting because we continue to hear some of those assets being moved into the region. And this is the graphic from Fox that we are seeing just all around there in the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, just the amount of force, the posture in which the United States continues to have in that region. They're continuing to call it a defensive posture. When will it look offensive? And can you describe maybe what we're seeing in terms of just the amount there in the region?
Yeah, no, it's already been several months, Andy, that the president has been, as he engages in these negotiations to coerce Iran into making a deal and giving up its nuclear program peacefully. He's been building up a very credible military deterrent in the region. And now, as we get closer to this decision to actually enter the fray on Israel's side to really try and finish this job in a decisive manner, the president's only now adding new increments of force, new increments of defensive and, importantly, offensive firepower to be ready for anything.
I want to ask you what a potential strike would look like. You mentioned Fordow. That would be the nuclear site that is very hard to get at. What would a strike potentially look like? Is that the best option that you potentially think could happen?
I think it's the most important contribution the United States can make. It's the one thing that, even as ingenious as the Israeli Defense Forces are, it presents real serious challenges to them, could be done much more effectively. That deep enrichment at site at Fordow by the United States, by several B-2 bombers carrying this massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000 pound bunker busting bombs that were built specifically for this mission to penetrate that mountain at Fordow. That would get the job done quickest. Hopefully it would be a one and done. And then the Israeli Air Force would continue their mission to further degrade the rest of Iran's nuclear and missile infrastructure. But we can't just assume that the Iranians are going to just accept a blow and move to the sidelines. We've got to be prepared for everything, including them coming after a lot of our forces in the region that are based both in Iraq and Syria and places around the Persian Gulf. We already see a lot of U.S. naval ships beginning to move out of the base in Manama, Bahrain, moving out, dispersing into the Persian Gulf to be in a safer defensive posture.
Yeah, and President Trump was asked aboard Air Force One last night about that, the potential retaliation from Iran, depending on what the strike looks like. I do want to ask you, just based on this, if the U.S. does make this preemptive strike, does that mean the United States is at war, or do they take a step back immediately in the aftermath?
Well, we've got to be careful about the word war, because people tend to conflate, the large-scale ground campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan over the last 25 years, which were genuine large-scale wars to take down regimes, to try and build some replacement. This is entirely, as far as we can tell, besides a lot of Mossad agents on the ground in Iran, entirely an air campaign, going down an extensive target list to set back these two existential issues for both Israel and the United States in terms of Iran's nuclear capacity and its missile capacity, that are a threat to us and a threat to the entire international order in the Middle East, that we have great stake in. Obviously, it's the epicenter of world energy supplies and the global economy. So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, and we spoke with one of your colleagues over there, Jinsa, about the report over the weekend that President Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to take out Iran's supreme leader. And then we saw this post earlier on today on Truth Social saying that they know exactly where the Ayatollah is at this point. In your eyes, if they decided to take out the Ayatollah Khamenei with a strike or something, because apparently they know exactly where he is, does that mean the regime is gone? And does the U.S. support a complete regime change there in Iran?
Well, if you start going after the very top political decision maker in a country, it probably looks like you've got intentions other than simply destroying its nuclear and missile programs. You're certainly destroying whatever chance you have of getting a decision, probably to come back to the table to surrender that nuclear program. You're setting that cause back, and you may be looking at a wider military objective of actually changing the regime. Listen, Iran is a very deep, expansive state of civilization. It's institutionalized, this Islamic revolution. There are a lot of bad, hard men in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, probably prepared to step up and take control of this regime and kill a lot of people in the streets if they try to rise up and replace the Islamic Republic. I don't think this is simply taking one person out and then thinking we're going to have some kind of much better, improved system. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we're making preparations to try as best we can to work with friends in Iran, friendly forces who can help shape a better future. But ultimately, whatever happens inside of Iran, I think we've learned over the last 20, 25 years, has got to be left to those people on the ground in Iran to shape their own future, to take their own hands into their destiny. We can help a lot and further advance their cause and go against the people who are most likely to kill them if they were to somehow rise up and take their future into their own hands. But it's very hard for us to own the future of Iran and what any new regime might look like.
And we've hopefully learned some lessons from past conflicts there that hopefully don't get involved in that way. We're talking internationally, but back here at home, we just heard that story from Rebecca
Yeah,
Casper
it's going to
talking
be a
about
long night tonight.
Congress hoping to
Get that
potentially
coffee
get
all made
involved
up.
for approval of a
I got
potential
some
strike
medicine
on Iran.
here already.
Does Congress need approval for President Trump to go forward with a potential strike?
My guess is no, is that the president's got the power under his Article 2 to undertake this kind of limited, contained strike to destroy a particular nuclear site and project that poses a obviously growing and quite immediate near-term threat to the United States and our interests in the Middle East. But I do think anything that extends beyond that, if the Iranians begin attacking our forces in the Middle East, trying to widen this war, to go after international energy supplies, I think it's very urgent that the president take this to the American people very quickly, to explain his actions, to talk to the Congress, to build real support for why he sees and understands this operation. As did four of his immediate predecessors, both Republican and Democratic, seeing stopping this Iranian nuclear project as being in the vital interests of the United States of America, our safety and our security. So important for the president, whatever he does in the coming hours and days, to eventually very quickly take his justifications and rationales and reasoning to the American people for why this is very much directly in their political, security, and economic interests.
Yeah, and the decision will likely lie exactly with President Trump, as the former president said the buck stops with him, so it likely will stop with him on this potential strike. I do want to ask you, because it's so very fascinating, we talk about all the different intelligence community, the military operations inside of the Situation Room. Can you take us a little bit inside? What type of
because
voices,
there's a lot of
who is
things
President
going
Trump
on. There might
listening
be
to in a
attacking
Situation
the
Room
internet.
like that? What type of information
I see the
is he
internet's
getting?
a little choppy.
The
And
intelligence
that definitely
community
could be
is
because of
clearly
what's
at
going
the
on.
forefront in a situation like this, Andy, both telling him what's happened over the last 4 or 5 days in terms of this Israeli military campaign. What is the bomb damage assessment? How much have they set back different elements of the Iranian nuclear program? What is happening at that site at Fordow right now? Do we see the Iranians trying to move in anything? What do we know about how the Iranians will respond to any American entry into this war and attack on Fordow? What are their intentions? Will they really try and start going after U.S. forces? And then he's got to look to his military people to know what options we would have under these different possible contingencies and ways that Iran would respond. What are our vulnerabilities? What measures are being taken to protect our forces, to protect our citizens across the Middle East? And then, of course, the State Department, we've got to be building coalitions internationally to be supportive of what we're doing. We've got to be prepared to go out to governments around the world, talk and justify our actions, why we're taking these actions, why they should be supportive of us. And so it's very much, and of course you're always worried on the economic side about our vulnerability and to an energy shock, to what could happen if, in fact, Iran begins to go after the Strait of Hormuz, to try and go after Saudi oil facilities. What would happen in energy markets? And what contingencies do we have available to try and buffer any kind of shock and effect it would have on the American economy and the American consumer? So it's a genuinely an all-of-government approach to try and inform the president as best you can and equip him with the kind of information he needs to make this very lonely decision that, as you said, is ultimately one man's alone, whether or not to enter what could be a sustained conflict against a very, very serious and dangerous foe.
And like you mentioned, the aftershock will be felt one way or another. So we're going to see, we're going to watch and wait, as it seems pretty calm right now, but it could change in the blink of an eye. All right, John Hanna, thank you so much.
Change in the blink of an eye, and it's going to get a while before it gets better. That's for damn sure. I got my medicine here. As you can see here, it's nice and beautiful and rolled up. I could actually make it a little bigger so you guys can see, because this is a 420 channel. So I already have my nice little joint rolled up. Actually, I have two of them in case I have to do a double header tonight. Just in case things break loose and goes crazy, I'm ready for it. I rolled them up and I was like, just in case, is this gonna be a all nighter type of thing? I hope not, because I would like to be in bed by 11. I don't want to be on here for too late, for too long, and I really don't. I hope nothing goes on right now. I really hope everything's calm for right now. The mid morning is where the action tends to happen, because that's when night falls over in that part of the world, and that's when things get interesting. Smells so good. I gotta light it up. So I picked up medicine today. I went to the dispensary today, and they had a pretty good sale going on. 2 apes for $65. Not bad at all. So yeah, picked me up some medicine to last me for like 2 weeks, because I got to renew my license. My license expired. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice. So I already made an appointment to see the doctor. So hopefully in 2 weeks I'll be getting my new license for a new season of medicine. Okay, so I opened up a couple of stories here, so we could check out real quick. Let me see, which one would I want to start with? Let's start with, I got 2 of the Israel ones, and then I have 3 non-Israel stories that we could come across real quick and take a look at. So this one here, let's play this one. Let me set this up here. Let's get that out. And come on, what's this one? Okay, this is the Intercept one. Let's check this one out. This one's pretty short. You can see it just come out of the sky. Like, look at this. That one got destroyed. It looks like it's coming in, but it got hit. And this was just a couple of hours ago. So there's activity still, possibility. I think they're just testing out to see what they could get in. I don't think 1 or 2 missiles are gonna be the problem. Is when they send over like 50 to 100 at a time. That's where they get the problem. This was from earlier in the night. I mean, the Iron Dome is doing what it needs to do, and these are missiles. Imagine living there and having to lift this out, man. Like, I feel pretty bad for both sides, man, for Iran and Israel. Just because innocent people are in the middle of this shit. Wow, look at this. It looks like this guy just lit up. That's wild. So let me go back a little bit, because I saw something there. Maybe I could check this out real
اما
quick.
عملیاتی که تاکنون اجرا شده صرفاً هشدار برای بازدارندگی بوده است و عملیات تنبیهی به زودی اجرا خواهد شد. لذا به جد به ساکنین سرزمین‌های اشغالی به ویژه تل‌آویو و حیفا هشدار داده می‌شود برای حفظ جان خود این مناطق رو ترک کنند و خودشون رو قربانی امیال
This is the
حیوانی
reason why
نتانیاهو نکنند.
they're worried because that came out earlier, and they wanna attack Israel. I mean, that's what it is, you know. All right, let's go to another story here. Kristi Noem in the hospital due to an allergic reaction. I wonder what she's allergic to. But we'll find out.
Welcome back in here to Live and Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. I do want to talk about a breaking news story as Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. But of course, we're learning new information as this was just an allergic reaction. As we're hearing this, a statement coming in right now.
This girl's having one hell of a year, man.
Secretary Kristi Noem about being hospitalized, as they said Secretary Noem had an allergic reaction today. She was transported to a hospital out of an abundance of caution. She is alert and recovering. So we were learning details of this here on Live Now from Fox, and they are very sparse, but obviously good news in terms of the fact that she is alert and recovering after this allergic reactions. We're not exactly sure what happened. Of course, Kristi Noem's been the headline quite a bit as DHS secretary. This comes after President Donald Trump tapped Noem, the former South Dakota governor, to serve as the Department of Homeland Security shortly after his election victory in November. She has emerged as one of the key faces of his rapid deportation agenda and his push to quell a recent spike of protests in Los Angeles. So just following this developing story here on Live and Now from Fox from Washington, D.C. Not a ton of information at this point about the 53-year-old member of the cabinet, the former South Dakota governor, Kristi Noem, hospitalized, rushed to the medical facility with an allergic reaction. Though at last check, she is alert and recovering. So we're following it closely here on Live Now from Fox.
How do you have an allergic reaction and you're rushed to the hospital? And yes, she's alert and so forth, but what was the reaction and how did she not know she's allergic to something? You gotta be careful these days. There's a lot of people. You gotta be careful who's cooking your food and what they're putting in your food. But she's having one hell of a year, man. Now she's in the hospital. Didn't she get robbed a couple of months ago? And she's dealing with all the craziness that's going on in our country here. And the fact that I think, like allergic reaction, what caused it, and has she ever been allergic to anything? I mean, I know I'm not allergic to anything. I think I may be allergic to penicillin. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't even take penicillin. But I don't know if I thought when I was little I could have been allergic to it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm allergic or not. To be honest with you, I do have another story. Non-related to Israel and Iran. Let's see. I got one from South Florida, and then I got the surveillance video captures assassin attempt of this is Minnesota, right? This is crazy. Let's go to that one because this was a crazy one. This guy's just mad crazy. So this is coming from Inside Edition. Let's go ahead and set it up and let's listen.
When I get excited, I want to dance. A stunning video of the accused assassin dancing. 57-year-old Lance Belter
Look at this
preaching
guy.
at a church in the Congo. A rousing sermon that couldn't be farther removed from the hatred police say fueled his shocking murder spree. This video has also surfaced of Belter claiming to work with law enforcement with a specialty in removing bodies from crime scenes.
We're working with a lot of police officers and death investigators at the location where a decedent is found. Could be a crime scene or just a natural death.
Belter
You know
is
he's a
charged with the
Democrat,
murder
right?
of
They're
State
trying to say he's a
Representative
Republican,
Melissa
but he's
Horton
not. He's a
and her
Democrat.
husband Mark, and the attempted murder of State
He worked
Senator
with,
John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. We're learning chilling new details of these shootings. The attempt to assassinate the Hoffmans was caught on home security video. A federal prosecutor said that video was the stuff of nightmares. He said the suspect pretended to be a cop and banged on the door, shining a flashlight on them. The senator opened the front door and quickly realized this was no cop.
When Senator Hoffman attempted to push Belter out and stop him from entering his home, Belter shot him repeatedly. Belter then shot Miss Hoffman repeatedly. Belter fled the scene, and the Hoffman's daughter called 911.
Their 28-year-old daughter's life was saved by her heroic mom, who shielded her with her body. An hour later, cops almost captured Belter as he was about to murder the Hortmans.
When Belter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, and when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark.
The shooter is still in the house. They believe barricaded with the firearm.
Before escaping, he shot and wounded the Hortman's dog, Gilbert, who had to be euthanized. Police say this image shows Belter dressed as a police officer and wearing a hyper-realistic latex Halloween mask. Here's what the mask looks like in the light of day when we tried it on. Cops recovered weapons and a hit list from Belter's SUV and a notebook listing websites and search engines he used to research his victims. After the murders, the FBI says Belter texted his family, warning them, "Dad went to war last night. There's going to be some people coming to the house armed and trigger happy, and I don't want you guys around." And this is the moment Belter surrendered to cops late last night after an hour-long siege near his home in rural Minnesota.
Yeah, it's so fucking crazy. And they try to blame Trump for this, right? They try to blame Trump and pin it on Trump and says, "Oh yeah, it was Trump. Everything's Trump. Everything that goes bad is Trump. Blame Trump. Blame on everything." This guy, he worked for Tinwas. Him and his wife did for many, many years, and they very strongly within the Democratic Party, but they wanted to flip the script and try to blame it on the Republicans and blame it on Trump. That, oh, there's no room for all this craziness and assassinations from the Republicans. And I'm like, wait a minute, motherfucker. Did you not do any research and check and make sure before you talk? This dude was a Democrat. I even mentioned it on my show the other day, like a couple of days ago, before all this craziness started happening, and when the shootings happened, I said it. I was like, this guy's a Democrat. This guy has to be a Democrat because the way it's so easily to get and know all this information, and the way that he put all this no kings in his car and just the telltale signs, I felt like it was just a whole setup that they try to pin the Republicans and make it like it was their fault, but in reality it was the Democrats because they try to pull off a dossier, which 2 lawmakers ended up dying because of it. Incredibly stupid. Well, let's go to the next story here. It's about Miami, Florida, my home. That's my hometown. That's where I was born, in Miami. Miami green lights ICE partnership despite public's opposition of it. Let's go ahead and set this up and let's take a look at what's happening in Miami. Okay, well, I got to get the sound up, so we're going to have to start it up again.
All right, we turn now to Miami City commissioners feeling the pressure over a possible partnership. Emotions running high at City Hall as residents ask leaders to reject an immigration enforcement agreement. Local 10's Glenna Milburn.
Hell no, they're coming for you. ICE is coming for Miami, baby. And there's a lot of immigrants in Miami.
Nicole, this all went down literally minutes ago after hours and hours of 100% of the speakers begging these commissioners not to enter into that agreement with federal immigration agents. They just voted 3-2 to do exactly that. Miami joins 250 some odd other cities around this state that now will be training their officers to work with ICE agents in their communities. You could see a bit of a struggle before the vote. Let me take you inside.
Hours of speakers, 2 minutes. Do the right thing.
Miami is a city built by immigrants. We are not a threat.
Begging Miami's
It's
commission
not
to
built by
reject
immigrants.
the
Are you fucking kidding
287G
me?
agreement that would allow
That was
Miami
stupid.
police officers to assist immigration agents in city limits.
This type of policy is being influenced from people that don't know what it is to be from Miami. So don't be bullied.
For the first time, we hear Miami
Talk is talk,
commissioners'
but
opposition
this
on
is,
face
we gotta get these
value.
people out of here.
I do
It
not
doesn't matter where
believe
they're at.
that we should voluntarily enter into this agreement.
And we hear leadership grapple with potential political consequences.
Or a very strong inference that if we do not enter into this agreement, there would certainly be some sort of repercussion.
Whether the state law makes that partnership a mandate or an option, that's still a question in court at the moment. Some, though, did come for another big question on the agenda.
By establishing 2-term limits, we open the door to new leadership and fresh perspectives.
Lifetime term limits here, meant to change the calculus for a commission that's had its share of drama and dysfunction.
I don't think it's right in the middle of the game or towards the end of the game to change the rules.
Commissioner Damian Pardo believes term limits will change Miami government for the good.
And the lifetime you could serve in the city of Miami is 16 years. That's a good amount of time. Then leave it open for more faces, more innovation.
Sounds like a lot of Democrat whining
So the
there
term
and
limit
crying.
question, also a tandem question about actually moving elections forward a year, extending the term limits
They
here
just want
for
to change
1
the
year.
rules.
That is on an
Of course
agenda that is
Democrats want to do that.
just underway. This meeting is going to go very late, but the big news and what has dominated this Miami meeting is that very late today, Miami commissioners have decided to go ahead and sign an agreement with customs enforcement, with ICE agents to assist in the ICE operations in the city of Miami going forward, which I will just tell you at the end of this very complicated piece that this is in court. So this story and those agreements, that is not over yet. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's in
I'm
court.
Glenn Milberg,
But
live
you know
in
what?
Miami
At the
today,
end of the day,
Local 10.
Much more on this meeting on local.
they
10
voted
News.
on it. They voted on it, and it's green light. So you can boo who all you want. All these Democrats, man, they're the worst. Ain't they the worst? Like, how you gonna boo hoo and cry and bitch about it? When Trump says they gotta go, they gotta go. Trump is the president of all 50 states, not 50 and some cities not included. Are you kidding me? That doesn't make any sense, Miami. Like, that's my birth town. I was born there. And there's a lot of immigrants. Oh my God. Like South Florida, Broward County, West Palm Beach. Oh, there's so there's a lot of farmers and you know, the ones that pick the veggies and all the farmland, like the farmers. There's a lot of immigrants that do that. Now, Trump did state that he's not going after those that are in the farm industry and that are in the restaurant industry. I don't know about the restaurant industry so much because I think they're arresting people. It doesn't matter in the restaurant industry, but I know in the farms, they're not going after them there. So that might be a little safe haven for temporarily, like for individuals that don't want to continue to stay here and work under the shield of, you know, picking and supplying the food for us to enjoy. See, I just, you know, it's like picking your battles. It's like tug of war. Like, which way are we going to go? Are we going this way, that way? Like, which way are we going? But Miami did the right decision and making sure that they are going to be helping ICE to have operations there to remove the criminals, the ones that have orders for deportation. Like, they're gonna get them out. That's it. End of story. Like, what are they gonna do? you know. But let's go check out Jerusalem right now. Let's share this over here. They're coming back from their break. Here we go. The sound is again. Give me 1 sec, because it seems like the sound isn't working. Well, just let me know if it's working or not. I believe it's not, because I got a message again stating it's not working. So let me just backtrack from this. Let's take this off and let's pop it back in again. I'm telling you, StreamYard, if it's not one thing, it's another and another. But it's okay. We'll get through it together. Let me just make sure it's ready. Set up. Yep, it's ready. Let's listen in.
Foundation for Defense of Democracies, of course, Ivana Stradner. She joins me. Ivana, thanks so much for being with us here. Russia offering to play mediator with Israel and Iran. Do you buy it?
No.
Absolutely not. We should not fall for Putin's game, as he's basically the arsonist who just plays fireman. And Putin never misses an opportunity to seize any opportunity to advance his interests and exploit crisis. So this time around, as Israel's attack on Iran's nuclear program continues, Putin is flexing actually his diplomatic muscles. And as you mentioned, he just offered to be a mediator, which is quite really ironic. And not only did he offer to be a mediator, but also to take uranium for Iran as part of a nuclear deal. Russia has really a long history of trying to portray itself as a neutral mediator. Just think about Syria, Libya, Africa, Armenia, Azerbaijan, just to name a few. And for Putin, actually, his stakes are extremely high because if you think about Russia-Iran strategic partnership that they actually signed this year, and also Iran supplied Russia with Shahed drones and missiles against Ukraine that Putin is using on a daily basis. That relationship actually is also goes beyond security. They have a mutual enemy, which is the United States. And I think it's really interesting that you always have to admire Putin's cynicism, who perceives Washington as an enemy, yet he offers to negotiate the deal.
That's funny.
So that's my next question. We're just watching some file footage there of Putin here. They just signed, Russia and Iran, this strategic partnership, not even a full year ago.
Yeah, but if they can do it,
Iran expect
more power
Russia
to
to
them.
step in more on their behalf? Because they haven't so far. Have you seen any indications that they have? What are they offering to Iran?
Actually, if you read Russian media, Russia is already trying to undermine this whole situation and to claim how Russia should not be involved militarily in this situation. So Putin is really in a not such a great situation because he cannot help Iran in any meaningful way. But the real question is, why is Russia actually doing this? Because Putin wants to pander to Washington to strengthen his position in negotiations on Ukraine and to show that Russia could be a reliable partner to Washington, which is just another game. And we should not fall for that. And not only that, Putin actually openly stated that the greatest catastrophe of the 20th century was the collapse of the Soviet Union. And let's not forget that he's trying to portray Russia as a superpower. And that's why he's trying to put Russia back on a negotiating table. And Putin is also not really in a great situation because think about just what recently happened in Syria. Nobody likes a loser. And Putin actually lost his ally over there. So right now, Putin is a really in an uncomfortable situation because he might lose another ally such as Iran. And finally, my point is, If you think about a new axis of aggressors between Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, it tells you all you need to know why Moscow is currently panicking. On the other hand, what I'm also a little bit concerned is that Russian media is already portraying this also as an opportunity because the West is focusing on the Middle East, and Russia can use this to its advantage in Ukraine.
I see. You know, Ivana, could it be that Iran needs more from Russia than Russia needs from Iran in kind of that calculus? And you brought up, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, after the fall of the Assad regime in Syria last December, Putin offered him what I'm not going to say asylum, but safe passage there in Moscow. And so I was seeing some reports, and not entirely sure if they've been verified, that Putin made the same type of offer to some of these key Iranian leaders. We'll have to see whether or not that plays out. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves here or put the cart before the horse here. But to your point, the President Trump and Putin, they also got on the phone over the weekend. They discussed the escalating situation in the Middle East. Putin's foreign affairs advisor, his name Yuri Yushakov, said the Kremlin leader emphasized Russia's readiness to carry out mediation efforts and noted it had proposed steps, quote, aimed at finding mutually acceptable agreements during U.S.-Iran negotiations on the Iranian nuclear program. To your point, is Russia going to use this opportunity, maybe that the United States is now preoccupied with resolving this latest conflagration in the Middle East, to step up its attacks on Ukraine, to leave any kind of prospect of peace talks between Ukraine, the U.S., and Russia? Does this give Russia cover to put that on pause or forget about that for a while, now that the United States is preoccupied? Yes, the United States can walk and chew gum at the same time, but how will Putin use that to his advantage?
To begin with, the reason why Russia offered this deal to Washington, it is because Putin understands that Washington loves to talk about business deals and deals in general. And basically to pander to Washington to show that Russia could be a reliable partner. On one hand, on the other hand, Putin understands very well that currently all eyes are on the Middle East. And what you just explained at a very early in our conversation, Russia already launched an awful attack yesterday on Ukraine, targeting civilians. Putin is testing the West and making sure that we are not going to respond. So we have to understand that what's happening with it also very much linked to Russia and linked to China and North Korea. So this is a truly new axis of aggressors that we have to tackle at the same time.
All right, Ivana Stratner there. We could talk all night. There's so much to get to, but we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, in the meantime, speaking of the war in Ukraine as well, Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky was in Canada today for the G7.
Of course he was.
Meetings there,
Zelensky
saying
never
that,
missed an opportunity
he said, addressing the
to
G7 summit,
try to
emphasized
cash
that
grab
Russia
on
is
people.
ignoring every diplomatic offer made by the international community. Diplomacy is in crisis. There is one clear reason, he says. Putin has openly rejected every peace initiative. So we'll keep an eye, of course, on yet that other conflict.
Of course, in this he's there and he's going to be talking shit.
Years.
Of course.
Ukraine there, a photo you see of
That's
Zelensky
the
at the round
Democrat
table
puppet.
alongside other European and world leaders in Alberta, in Canada. So in the meantime, I have to step away from that. The sun is coming up there in the Middle East. We'll have live vantage points for you when we come back. And also a preview, a look at what's in store the rest of the night. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I want to see some live here. They're gonna go to a quick little break. I think I can speed it up. So yeah, I can. So we'll check that out in a moment. As I set it up for us to come back from that break. You can see it's already daylight. It's it's gonna be a unique day. Now, is this surprise gonna be at night or a daytime surprise? I mean, if you're gonna surprise someone, you wouldn't announce it, right? I mean, they announced it. They're telling for people that live in Tel Aviv to evacuate. They're telling people to evacuate, and it's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get, but Israel, they're going with with intelligence. They have people on the ground. They have people that are really good agents that are within the system already and relaying information. This is it's like the spy from within. It's just they're already inside. They're there. They're on the ground. That's how they're able to kill all these scientists and all these generals, and even the replacement general. They fucking killed his ass too. It's like, I'm pretty sure the people are like, and whoever's in the military, like, fuck this shit. Nah, I don't want that position, man. I don't want that position. Why? It's a promotion. It's promotion. Promotion. Like, no, man. This is fucking, you're putting a bullseye on me, man. I got fucking kids and a wife to take care of, and she bitch at me every fucking time I come in with my fucking shoes. And it's like, fuck, I'm fucked here and I'm fucked at home, and now you want to fuck me even more with a bullseye on my head, make me a fucking general? Fuck that shit. I don't want to be no general. Fuck that. You be the general. If you're the one recruit yourself. I don't want to be a target. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like, a lot of them are leaving. They're leaving Tehran, and they're opening the doors for a big operation to happen that Israel is gonna. They're gonna. The thing is that what we haven't heard in the news. We haven't heard of any like return fire from like jets or helicopters or any of that stuff. We haven't heard anything about any jets being used. Like, are the Iranians not? They're back. They're not engaging as far as like dogfighting or with these jets that they have, because they do have jets. They have a lot of them. But I haven't heard anything about it. I mean, if you have, let me know in the chat. But I have zero radio silence on Iran, and how weird that it's just a surface to surface, it's an air assault, and not a combat where you're having the jets go at it and dog fighting, and the best one wins, and I haven't heard nothing with the jets, nothing with the helicopters. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of equipment and a lot of like that they can use, and they do have battle like attack helicopters. They do have that, so we haven't heard any of that. Like, any the only thing we've been hearing is just the ballistic missiles and the hypersonic missiles, and that's all they're engaging in. They want us, like, oh man, this is giving me flashbacks of the fucking Iraqi war. It's giving me flashbacks of, they got the bomb, they got the bomb, they got the bomb. And then that Yahoo is talking about the bomb, and it's a weird it's weird because like he's been talking about it for a couple of decades now. It's been over like 30 years he's been talking about this. Like they're close to getting a bomb. They're close to getting a bomb. And now is like the time that we have to, maybe they do have the fucking bomb. It's just crazy because maybe they have like 10 or 15 bombs, and they're gonna surprise Israel and shoot all of them. You know what I mean? Shoot them all at once. It's like, all right, shock and awe. We're gonna fucking lose no matter what. So let's lose with a bang. Let's go out with a bang and just throw all our fucking nuclear weapons at them and fuck Israel, right? And just blow them all up. That's what they want. They want to blow them all up to smithereens. They've been trying with the Palestinians, with, and they try from the north with Lebanon, with all their epoxy, militants that they have there, and and then also from Yemen, because Yemen's shooting missiles out to Israel too. It's just a weird setup, and the fact that Iran could be a lot more powerful than what they're doing. I wonder what they're really trying to do. It's like they're trying to sucker them in and then like go after them, because I mean, if the U.S. gets involved, it has to be something really big to happen for the U.S. to get involved. The U.S. is not going to send their ships and submarines to that area if there's not a credible threat. It has to be a credible threat. And I am sure that the informations that are coming through the hotlines, it's fire. And that's why Trump is like, I'm holding off. I'm not going to react, because that's what Bush did. He overreacted and drew us into this Iraqi war. And this war was a fucking nightmare that lasted like too long and costed way too much money. And we got screwed. We won and Saddam was dead and all this bullshit. But at the end of the day, did we really accomplish anything from that? Do we feel any benefit from that? Not really. I mean, what do we benefit from? The oil? The oil that they owed us? Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense because our gas prices are still high. So can be possibly just the oil. Is it the history? Because I know Iraq has a lot of history, a lot of history, suppressed history, and I believe they found something in Iraq that was very important, and they kept it secret from the world. Like, nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Just keep moving along. But Iran has a lot of history too. Iran has a lot of. They have really you don't understand. Iran's really big. Iran has a lot of minerals. Like the USA is they're so mineral hungry, right? Because they made this deal with China. They made this deal with Ukraine for the minerals, right? Iran has a lot of minerals, and they do have uranium, and they do have a bomb. They have it, they have it. So, and they did get help. Pakistan, I know you're not innocent. You're not innocent. You guys are so guilty. But that's another problem. They are a nuclear state, which is crazy that Pakistan is a fucking nuclear. I would have why would they let Pakistan be a nuclear state? That's just crazy. That is just wild. And the fact that they could have possibly fucking helped Iran. It's like, look, brother, get the bomb. Here you go. You gave me $1 billion. You said you get $6 billion from USA. I know you get $6 billion because the fucking deadbeat guy, the guy in the beach, the Biden guy, he always fucking sleep in the fucking beach. He sent me money, $6 billion. What the fuck? I got a lot of money. What am I gonna do with that? I'm gonna buy fucking weapons. I'm gonna buy more missiles and fucking bombs. And we do shock if they attack us. I'm not trying to mock their language or how they speak English, but I'm pretty sure the conversation went like that. A fucking deadbeat on the beach. He was laying there like a fucking fish. taking the raise and not really paying attention to the world, and a lot of decisions were made, and probably he didn't even fucking make it, because I'm pretty sure an auto pen was used to release the funds to Iran, which they got $6 billion. What the fuck you think you're gonna do if you get $6 billion in your country? It's like, and then not only that, but you're a fucking crazy country that has like epoxies all over. Like, you're gonna get more fucking weapons. They're like, look, China, we got fucking money. Russia, we got money, man. Make a deal with us. Let's go. And that's how Iran got a lot of these ballistic missiles. You think how they got like all this ballistics, huh? Over 3,000 of them easily. That's like an easy number. And imagine if they're gonna go shock and awe, they're gonna say fuck it. They'll send like 2, 3, 400 missiles at one time. Can the Iron Dome stop 400 missiles coming at Tehran at one time? No. You overwhelm the system. It's like you overwhelm it. It's like anything, like the internet, everything. Like if you overwhelm any system, it's gonna break, and it's not gonna be able to handle the overlord. Like it's overload of missiles raining down upon Tehran, and probably destroying this place. That's unthinkable. If that happens, man, the U.S. will step in. The U.S. send that amount of missiles and hypersonic missiles and ballistic missiles, and let one of them be an atomic weapon or a nuclear weapon. Iran is donezo. I tell you right now, they have the submarines already. The United States do have nuclear submarines out there with weapons. B-2 bombers are out there too. And they do have the bunker buster. And I am pretty sure they could put a nuke on one of those and drop it on Tehran and drop it in anywhere in Iran. The United States have a lot of atomic bombs. Okay, they have a lot of nuclear weapons. They're like this and this with like Russia. Russia's probably a little bit more because, of course, they got a lot of terrain and they got a lot of uranium, so they're constantly making these weapons. But they're a little bit up. But the United States is right there, like within like distance. Don't get it twisted. The United States never stopped making these weapons. They're constantly making weapons and nuclear weapons. And yeah, are they gonna use them? That would be wild. That would be so wild. I'm feeling weird. I'm just feeling weird. Let's see. Let me see what's going on. Well, it's becoming daytime. It's good morning, Israel. Let me show you a picture of Jerusalem. Give me 1 second to set it up so I can show you Jerusalem. It's a beautiful skyline, and good morning to them. Enjoy as much as you can today. I don't know. Is today the day of? Because right now it's 6:18 over there, and I don't know. 666, a lot of sixes, because 18 is 3 6s. It's the 6th month, 18th day, 3 6s, 18. Could be the day. It's just we're living in such interesting times, man. Such interesting times. And it's scary. For me, I'm fucking it's scary. It is. It's uncertainty, that's what scares. The unknown. You know, that you're not in control. None of us are in control. It's on other people's hands. Our future, our lives depend on others. And as much as we think that we have control, we only have control to a certain extent. Because all our governments have eyes on us. They listen to us every day. They watch us every day. Hi. Let me make myself big so they can see me wave at them. Hi, motherfuckers. How y'all doing? Very unique times, man. I wonder if the Foo Fighters are gonna come back, because the Foo Fighters been making and not the musical group, even though the musical group is pretty fucking good, but the original Foo Fighters that appeared at World War II, and it was like these orbs, these energy orbs, and they were pretty effective during that war. And I wonder if they will make a comeback, and is it really going to take something extraordinary, extra, like from another galaxy possibly, to intervene and cool things down here? Because, you know, talking about nuclear weapons, and Israel does have nuclear weapons. Don't get it twisted. Let's not play stupid. Israel has a bomb. Israel has a lot of fucking nuclear weapons. They have, like, they do. But they cannot use it if it's not used upon them. So it's like an assurance. And how I know they have it? Because they're fucking friends with the United States. Because the United States has it. And if fucking Israel needs an atomic bomb, the United States will supply it to Israel and give it to them, and have them. And if the US has to deploy it, they'll deploy it themselves for Israel. At the end of the day, you know, there's not a win-win situation. We all lose. We all lose. Humanity always will lose. We never learn from our mistakes. We never do. That's why history continues to repeat itself over and over and over again. We never learned, you know? It's like, when are we going to learn? And when is the cycle going to stop? Because the cycle keeps repeating itself. You think this is the first time this ever has happened? You think this is like... No. It's been going on for a very long time. Way before us. Way, way before us. And the fact that they it's history, right? It's all history. The Bible is history. And they use the Bible for predictions and also stories of what happened and so forth. Like, it's no difference than the media. You know, the Bible is just like the media of what happened, and, you know, detailed, like TMZ, and was on Jesus, you know, on his ass, and writing everything down and what's happening. And to me, I don't know, a book like that, and that uniqueness, and the way the language is, and the way the language has been changed many times in that book. It's just, for me, it's just it's a read, but take it with a grain of salt too, because stories could be manipulated. Stories can make it, you know, they can make it however they want it to be. Especially back in those days, they really manipulated the books. So nothing is really exactly what it used, like what had happened. It's mostly an assumption of what happened. But let me see. It's morning time. It's morning time over there. You can see Tel Aviv is morning. It's getting morning. It's already sun is already breaking out in Iran. So shock and all, whatever attack is going to happen, today will be the day. 3 6s, 18 on the 6th month. It's will they do it? Will they pull the trigger? Will they say fuck it? You know, it's and the fact that we don't listen to the communications, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of communications going on in Iran, and I'm sure the United States is listening in to what's going on over there, and it's unique, because they can monitor a lot of stuff. Our national defense, homeland security, even our CIA can be tapping in, and we have hackers here in the United States, so we could be hacking the shit out of Iran right now. They could be doing some kind of crazy shit over there. They did limit the internet in Iran. They cut off the internet in Iran. Iran is very, 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 very minimum internet there. And what happened, Elon stepped up and out of nowhere put Starlink into service in Iran. And the reason why I think he did that, because these missiles need guidance, like their GPS. They work off the internet. The internet, they use the trackings, and that's where they pinpoint. And the fact that Elon stepped up out of nowhere, he didn't it wasn't like big news. Like nobody really talked about it that much. But Elon activated Starlink in Iran. Now, what's the reason, and why wasn't that not heavily reported in the media? Beats me, right? Let me see if there's anything else here. I mean, it's a beautiful morning over there. It's like it's gonna be. I just really don't want to see any these skyscrapers falling. I wouldn't want to see like the West Wall destroyed or any of the historical sites destroyed. Like there's so much history there, and to have a bomb just come in and just destroy everything. That's sad. That would be one of the saddest things to happen. And I think Iran don't give a shit. To be honest with you, they don't care. And they're gonna do what they can do to disrupt and to destroy. And will the B-2 bombers be activated? It is a possibility. It's a possibility. And the reason why I say that, and look, I just found a report right here about the B-2 bombers. Let's watch it. Give me 1 second. I gotta set it up, but the internet, like I said, has been acting a little weird. Weird. But Let's see if I got this good. Yeah, you see, like the volume bullshit happened again. So let me take it off and put it back on. Such a weird system. Like everything's been just weird. Let me bring back that story.
Well, as Israel and Iran continue to exchange strikes and the Trump administration weighs its
I was just
options,
talking about
there's
this.
one resource drawing some attention. It's called the B-2 Spirit bomber. It can carry a so-called bunker buster bomb capable of penetrating 200 feet inside a target. The B-2s are primarily located at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. And that's where we find CBS News correspondent Ian Lee. Ian, tell us a little bit more about this very impressive instrument, the B-2 bomber.
And they travel round trip nonstop.
Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah, if that bomber were to take off, it would fly pretty much directly over me. We've been out here waiting, seeing if it's going to take off, but this is a very special plane. It is a stealth bomber, and as you pointed out, it can carry a bunker buster bomb. This is the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This is a 30,000-pound guided bomb that this plane can deliver anywhere in the world from this plane taking off from right behind me. And this is significant because it would be then targeting, if it were to go to Iran, the Fordo nuclear power plant. This is a power plant that's buried underneath a mountain. And so this is really one of the only bombs that could even try to get down that far. The bomb can penetrate about 200 feet deep. And so this is why this bomb is very significant, and that's why we're watching this base closely to see if any of those planes are taking off. Now, if a plane does take off, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to Iran, but it does show that it could have that potential to go that far. And
why is the media doing this? Why CBS is reporting on these planes taking off? This is, you see, this is sabotage. I feel like this is a sabotage, what they're doing.
And the use of the B-2 would be a significant
Fucking
step for US
CBS, man. You're a piece of shit.
come into
I hate
consideration, Ian, as the
CBS.
U.S. weighs its options here.
I hate them as much as I hate CNN.
There's so much at play going on if the U.S. were to use something like this. First off, the United States has bases throughout the Middle East. So far, Iran hasn't directly targeted those bases. If the United States strikes Iran, those bases could then be targeted, putting U.S. personnel at risk. And so that is one big consideration. Also, striking this power plant, could it destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities? Possibly. But also, would Iran then dig deeper or try to develop a nuclear bomb in another way? So these are all considerations. Also, you have to consider these planes too. These planes taking off, what are their routes going to be? If there's an emergency, can they be diverted anywhere? How are they going to be refueled? So there's so many things to consider.
They refuel it in the air, you
carrying
dummy.
out an operation, and then the
They
United
don't
States has
land.
to
They go
consider
round
the
trip. This guy's a fucking
ramifications
stupid
of bombing
reporter.
Iran.
All right, imbecile. Like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I mean, I'm sorry that I brought you to fucking CBS. You see what I mean? It's like CBS is like, the rats. We're the rats. We're going to say when they're leaving and the time that they're leaving, how many planes took off. Like, where's the secrecy? Why are you ratting on the operation that's possibly going to be taking place? You're there standing like a fucking idiot trying to be a rat. You're a rat reporter. That's fucking, what a only in America you have these fucking people like CBS and CNN and MSNBC, crazy Democratic side of the media that loves to ruin people's lives and likes to spoil secrecies and things like military. Like that's like a military base. Like, why are you reporting and trying to be the first to say, yeah, they just left, like, are you fucking kidding me? I hate you don't know the hatred I have for CBS. If you only knew. Let me see if I have something else. I should have something else here. Let's go back to the live news, which is live now from Fox. We haven't been there in a minute, so let's see what they have going on there. Let me set it up for us. It should be coming from the breakout soon. I don't want to go too forward.
We've got our experts,
there you go.
Our analysts on hand to dedicate the entire next hour to the Israel-Iran conflict. I'm going to be doing an extended segment with Dr. Alon Burstein, trying to cover just about every angle we could possibly think of.
And we're going to be watching it.
Ultimately, what matters is what you guys are curious about. Andrew, if you will, let's get our viewer question up there for the night. It's a simple one. What do you want to know about the Israel-Iran conflict? We've been getting, and I can't thank the audience enough for this, Andrew, we have had so many smart questions sent into the newsroom in the past 3 or so days while this has all been going on. We know this is complex stuff. This is geopolitics at the end of the day, and we are a public service. I say this every night that we do this type of stuff, but it is important
chess,
because
man.
you and I cover this stuff day to day. We have our own questions, but ultimately we're trying to educate the people that are watching us. You can scan that QR code on your screen. If QR codes aren't your thing, you can also go to livenowfox.com/connect. It'll take you to a web page where you want to click on the Share Now tab. Share Now. You can type in your question, and you very well may see it posed to our experts later on in the evening. Alon Burstein is going to be joining me in about 15 minutes time, and then I'm going to be joined by
My question would be like, what are the what do the Bilderbergs know about Israel-Iran conflict? That will be my question.
Will it bleed
Because
over into international cyberspace? It doesn't just impact
let
the
me quiet
cyberspace of
him
Iran and Israel.
because he's doing his reporting, but I'm doing mine too. What does the Bilderbergs or what took place just a few days ago in Switzerland, where you had the Bilderbergs, they came together and they had a meeting, and I am 100% sure they had a lot of conversations about what's going on in Israel and Iran. So and not only that, but also with the Ukraine and Russia. But I feel like the Ukraine and Russia is it's like not really important right now. Like it's very quiet on that sector. The attention right now has gone straight to the Israel Iran. Like even the protesters, like I'm not even giving them energy. Have you noticed I didn't even talk shit about the protesters? The protesters are just, they're still protesting, they're still doing their thing, but I'm not giving them energy. But let's listen into this here. Give me 1 sec.
For generations, the Middle East has been dealing with the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, with the attack on Israel on October 7th by Hamas, reminding us of what's at stake. Due to the wisdom of the American people, President Trump's election to a second term has offered the world a chance to see an American leader committed to solving many of the world's existential threats with determination. Now, as the conflict between Israel and Iran continues, President Trump has also been clear that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also stated that fact, as he has traveled the world working to implement President Trump's vision of peace and security. That statement has also been uttered from this podium many times. The fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon is clear. As the White House reminds us, since taking office, President Trump has clearly stated no fewer than a dozen times that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, for anyone who's unclear on that fact. President Trump has made the same pledge no fewer than 40 times before taking office, even as far back as 2011. One of the highest priorities of the Trump administration is the safety and security of the American people. To that end, the Department of State has established the Middle East Task Force to help coordinate support for U.S. citizens, our U.S. diplomatic missions, and personnel and diplomatic engagement. The task force is operating 24 hours a day. Over the past week, to help keep U.S. citizens informed, we have issued more than 30 security alerts to countries in the region and updated the travel advisories for Iraq and Israel. We remind U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances. We continue to monitor the complex and rapidly evolving situation on the ground as we continue to assess and address the needs of U.S. citizens. We urge all U.S. citizens to regularly visit travel.state.gov for the latest travel advisories and security updates, and to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, also known as STEP, to receive timely alerts and guidance from the State Department. For Americans needing assistance, and there we have a bit of the website there for you, call +1 202 501 4444. That number again is +1 202 501 4444. If you're on that website, you can also click on that red box. It will take you to a page where you can search for the embassy of your interest, where you are, where you would like to connect to be able to get help from the embassy in the country where you are. And of course, the numbers there as well for your closest U.S. embassy. I also want to add a couple other things here as we're dealing with this. It is certainly a rapidly evolving dynamic, but to conclude the topper here today, I want to recognize the State Department and other U.S. government teams around the world working under threat on behalf of the American people, particularly those in Israel and Ukraine, who spent another night sheltering in bunkers as they came under attack. Our priority is the safety of Americans overseas and here at home. It is the priority of Secretary Marco Rubio. It is the priority of everyone who works in this building and the thousands of American citizens who work anonymously and whom you will never see, who are working in embassies and consulates around the world and working with those local nations to be there for American citizens and to help facilitate American diplomacy. Our priority is the safety of Americans, yes, here at home, but also overseas. We thank all of those working on behalf of the American people, all of you watching from home and from around the world. We thank you, and for everyone around the nation, we know and honor your work as we begin another briefing here, ready to take your questions. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, hi, thanks. Thanks for that. Could you give us some more details on this task force, how it's going to work, and specifically if it's going to help Americans potentially leave the region, be repatriated, depending on the countries that they're in, and any more details?
Right. Well, I won't be giving you, just as a reminder of how today is a little bit of a different day for the briefing. There is always things that I can't say to you. And yet we have a long back and forth. Sometimes we have a little bit of a debate. I won't engage in that today. My responses will be perhaps a bit quicker than usual, and I'll be moving around more quickly to reach as many of you as I can. There will be less that I can answer for you because of the circumstances that we're dealing with around the world. So it is, just want you to know, it's not personal, but we're working on certain things like the task force as an example. The task force is a group of people who are working, taking the calls of people, of American citizens around the world, making sure that they get connected with what they may need in that region. I won't go into the details of all that the task forces do, of course, but it's about information, making sure people here at the State Department and people that we get the information we need, but also people around the world, American citizens, get directed to the information that they may need as well. So I'll leave it at that, but this is something that the State Department does when there's a situation that requires it, and this is one of those times. Sure, Matt, sure, of course.
That phone number that you can get, if you call that number, which I can do right now, who do you get?
You get an individual who is
task force.
No, you don't get the task force. That phone number is a general phone number The task force is busy, but it is a separate unit that is established to take the calls to assist American citizens who call to the embassies. Particularly, you're going to be referred to embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So good question. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, Andrea.
Question. There's some specific consular needs. One in particular that I'm aware of, and there may be more than one, is an American citizen in Iran, where there is no embassy, no consulate. Would that be a Swiss protectorate? Would there be other options? Is consular affairs give any advice as to what to do about Americans right now stuck in?
I can't speak to any advice or information regarding individuals in Iran at this point.
And what about American Israelis or Israeli Americans either wanting to come out or wanting to get back home? El Al, I believe, has resumed flights in some small measure for people who, some people have kids in Israel and they were visiting the States, and they were American citizens. Is there anything that they can do? Where should they call this number?
Well, obviously, if you know, and we encourage every American when you travel, is to contact your local embassy or consulate, let them know you're there, make sure you know where they are, have those numbers, and that's what I would recommend, no matter where you're traveling, but certainly in the Middle East, is know where those entities are, know where the embassy is. So if you're in Israel, obviously it's Tel Aviv or it's Jerusalem. Well, they will answer their phone. So there's contacts that can happen in the midst of all of this. And of course, I think that's the advice for wherever you are. But clearly, if you're in a certain area, it's obvious in this case that there are certain limitations in that region, and that contact the embassy, the one that is nearest to you, and you will, at the very least, make sure they know where you are, but also they will give you some options for the plans that you would like to make. Yes, Humaira.
Tammy, I understand your limitations, but I have to ask this.
I know you do. It's your job, and I appreciate that. I'm here to take questions, not necessarily always answer them.
Yeah, last night
ma'am.
President Trump said he wants a real end, not a ceasefire. So does the United States support or pursue regime change in Iran? Or are we just talking about dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment? And would that include the United States helping Israel strike forward?
Well, I'm certainly not going to characterize what President Trump says or tweets for that matter. He doesn't need characterizing. He's one of the most transparent, one of the most clear individuals that we've known. I think that we can take his word for his word, but I'm not going to speculate on, in a larger sense, what that would mean. That is up to the president. He is the singular guiding hand about what will be occurring from this point forward, as he has been. And I think that dynamic is pretty clear. He says he wants an end, as he has said about every conflict that he has, as a peacemaker, worked to stop peacefully through diplomacy. That has been his commitment. And he wants these things, as he said, about a number of situations, not for a month or 6 months, but durable ends to this nature of forever wars. And that has been his posture, and that's his posture now.
Okay, I have an easier follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people...
I'll take a hard one, too, I'd say.
How many people so far...
Okay, so before Tammy takes the next question, it is time for us to slide away for a quick break. We continue to monitor live images out of Israel. We've been following, it's now 10 minutes past 5 a.m. Israel Standard Time, a live look at Jerusalem. We continue to monitor.
It's not really live because we're behind a little bit,
These major Israeli metros.
but I can move forward.
Don't know where this conflict is going in the early morning hours in the Middle East, but we're going to do our best to cover it all with our experts and analysts. In a moment, we'll be right back.
Okay, so let's fast forward it.
Out, at least according to a lot of reports, very successfully, are the attacks in and around Tehran. There's a lot of nuclear research facilities there. There was an attack that was carried out in Iraq. That's a heavy water plant. Attacks in Isfahan, another nuclear center.
Wow, they're going after the nuclear facility, so that means like their power.
That is one of the two
Oh
most
man,
important nuclear sites in Iran.
this is going to cause problems
one of the sites was
because
enriching uranium. And
that could be radiation that's going to be popping all over the place there.
The IAEA it says that it is very likely that all
Yeah, but you see, they're
15,000
attacking just
centrifuges in Natanz
the
have either
west
been
side.
damaged or
They're
destroyed
not doing
in
nothing to the
Israel's
east
attack. So
side.
that is a major
The
step
east side
forward
is a
in
big
terms of
area, man. Iran
stopping
is huge.
or stalling or
You know,
damaging,
this could be
crippling
the false
Iran's
sense
nuclear
of like,
abilities or
okay,
nuclear aspirations.
attack this
The big
side, but
question remains
we
the
got a
site
lot
in
on the east
Fordo. That
side.
is the one site that Israel has yet to attack.
Iran is
And that is
really
really
fucking
where all eyes
huge.
are looking right now. What's going to happen to that site? Because that's the other most important
I
site.
don't, you know, it could be a sucker,
Fordo
like they're sucking them,
it's a
like sucking
fuel
them in,
enrichment plant. It's become a focal point of this conflict.
and then
It's an underground stronghold. It's a centerpiece of Iran's nuclear ambitions, basically.
go after them.
It's been presented alone as a civilian facility, but it's widely
Just
believed
because
by Israeli
I haven't heard
intelligence to
any
be
like
the
dog
heart
fights or
of
any like
Iran's
jet fights
atomic
or
weapons
anything like
effort.
that. Like Iran has not used
What
any of their jets.
is the
Not that I
story
know of.
there
It
the
hasn't been
past
reported.
couple of days? Has it been hit? Do we know how much has happened there? What exactly is there? Are there a lot of questions still about this facility?
Many more questions than answers. So let's just take back a little bit, a step back in order to understand the importance of this facility. So this is one of the two facilities that Iran was enriching uranium, which is a key aspect of building a nuclear weapon. You have to enrich uranium to a certain amount that you can then use in a bomb. The other one center was Natanz. Then there's Fordo. The challenge with Fordo, this is a center that was built by Iran. It became public in 2009 after they built it in secret. The challenge is they built it deep into the mountain. It is buried in the mountain outside Qom. This is about 100 miles, 150 miles southwest of Tehran. And it is buried some 80 meters deep into rock. That is something that Israel would have a very hard time attacking. According to the latest reports,
Israel's just
the
so
facility
small
is so
compared to
well fortified,
Iran,
it only
man.
has 4 entrances. Has 4 entrances that are
This is like
tunnels that go as
mosquitoes
deep into the
attacking a
mountain.
bull.
Israel simply does not have the bombs
You know what I
that will be
mean?
able to penetrate this. So
It's
there's
a
been a lot of
mosquito
speculation
attacking a
about
bull,
how Israel might
and
attack
they're letting
this
them
facility.
like bite
Some
them.
said, well, maybe Israel would bomb out
But
those
it's gonna
4
turn to a
entrances, try to
point
bury the
where
center into
the
the
bull's gonna
mountain.
get mad,
To some extent,
and it's
either
gonna
suffocate
unleash
people in
like,
there or maybe just try to destroy the equipment.
oh
That's
man,
one avenue that a lot of people have said that's fine, but that's something that Iran could overcome. A second thing that has been suggested is maybe Israel will try to attack the cooling facilities. All of these centrifuges that are buried underground, enriching uranium, produce a
yeah,
lot of
they're a
heat.
lot underground.
Possibly Israel will attack the cooling facilities, cooling mechanisms, in
Bro,
order
they've
to
been doing
try
this for
to either
decades.
sabotage this or destroy that facility. That also, though, at least until now, no one has suggested that that would be an easy task because they are also very heavily fortified.
No wonder
There were some
the
reports
Iran
that there were
keeps
explosions seen
shooting
in the
missiles
areas
at
around Qom, which is right where the center
Israel.
is. But others suggested that Israel hasn't even tried to attack it yet.
They have so many
Israel denied
weapons
this. So really
underground.
the question
It's
is,
like they
what
can't
is needed
even
in order
reach
to
where
destroy that? For that,
they're at.
Israel really
And
needs
they
the
just
United
pull
States.
out
The
the
United
truck.
States is the
They're
only
like,
one
there's so many
that
trucks
has
underground
the mother
with
of all
missiles,
bombs.
and they just pull them
These
out
bombs that weigh 13 to 14
and just
tons
woof
each one of them.
and shoot them off.
According to reports, the missile
You
head
know,
of the
that's
bombs that are being
wild.
dropped from
They
the
got
B-2 or
oh
the
man.
B-52 bomber, the missile head itself, though the explosive device
Maybe
itself is
tonight or
2.4
later
tons.
today they'll
These
get a
bombs were
bombardment.
specifically designed for this purpose. They were specifically designed by the United States 15 years ago in order to penetrate such fortified capabilities. Then the thinking was more North Korea. Now thinking is more Iran. So that's really why Israel is constantly saying it's
A lot of
making
nuclear
a lot
sites
of
here. This is
advances.
nuclear here.
But if this
These
center
are the
for
air
Fordo remains
defense
intact, then
systems.
really all
They
Israel
got
done is held
attacked.
Iran back a little bit.
These
Then
are
they will rebuild.
surface missiles
Israel's
that they
mounting
attacked,
heavy
and
pressure on the
then
United
the
States to
nuclear
participate.
scientists were killed around
It's
here.
really hard to know what the United States is thinking at this point. On the one
So,
hand, President Trump is issuing
but
a
this is
lot of statements
this
and
is like
making a
mosquito
lot of news
bites
about
because there's
possibly
so much
participating. On the other
places.
hand,
Look at all this.
in
Look at all this,
back channels, there's
man.
constant reports
Look at all this
that
back
Trump does
here.
not actually want to throw his weight
They
into a
hide a
war. He
lot of
wants
stuff back
nuclear
here.
weapons. We all know Trump prefers a deal. He prefers to do this through deals. So there's it's right now a guessing game. Is it in fact the United States going to participate, or is this just continuously upping the ante until possibly getting to a deal?
I mean, the
Let's talk
U.S.
about the map
really
on the
does not.
screen,
This
if
is
you
none
can.
of
I don't
their
know how well
business,
you
but
see it from your vantage
you know
point,
they
but
cannot have a
the
bomb
cluster
for
of yellow
sure.
dots,
You
I
know, I
presume,
agree with
is
that.
where Bordeaux would be. Do I have that right alone?
The cluster of yellow dots is, I'm trying to see exactly.
A little bit south of
It's right here.
Tehran, and the yellow cluster of dots indicates nuclear targets. Anything yellow are nuclear targets, so it would have to be.
It is very likely Fordo. It's either that or Iraq. I'm pretty sure from the map that it is very likely Fordo. It's either that or Iraq, but I'm pretty sure from the map that that is the area of Fordo.
Not much,
And again,
man.
that is the area
They think
that
it's a
at
lie,
this
but
point,
man,
Israel
Iran
has
is
the
so fucking
airspace
big.
that it could get there. Israel, in the first sort of hours of the attack, we were talking live, really managed
There's
to
a lot of
clear the
mind
airspace in
games
Iran.
that's going on.
Israel is openly saying that it has drones and planes in the skies of Iran
A lot of
24/7.
mind games.
So it could, attack that all at once. It also has Mossad agents on the ground, but at this point, it cannot actually figure out a way, at least according to what we're seeing, it cannot figure out a way to actually destroy that facility. And seemingly, and now this is speculation on my part, they don't want to try unless they know they're going to succeed. One of the things that has really kept morale high within the Israeli military to continue to expand the attack more and more is so far there's been very little tried that has failed. There's been very little assassination attempts in Iran that have failed. No downed airplanes so far. Obviously, in Israel, there are
They did
failures.
report.
Missiles are
Well,
hitting and
I
decimating
heard
large parts
reports
of different streets
2
and
jets
cities of
went
Tel
down,
Aviv,
but he's saying none of them went down.
But in
But
terms of the attack,
take that
up
with a
until
grain of
now,
salt.
I say this with some caution. Obviously, I don't know exactly what's going on the ground. With some caution, what's being reported, nothing that Israel's tried, it hasn't succeeded in Iran. But that is one of the reasons I think they don't want to try in Fordo right now. I think that one of the reasons they're hoping that Trump will participate in this is it's looking like a monumental success, and they hope Trump wants to join in the success, and they're very hesitant to show any failure.
What have we learned about Iran's militaristic capabilities in a few days' time, offensively and defensively?
So a lot of people are questioning. So where did Iran disappear to? A lot of Iranians are going to the internet and are saying, "What happened here? We've been building up our military all these years. What happened?" And really, what I've told some people, and a lot of people don't like this comparison. And obviously, I'm not making a comparison in terms of morality or things like that. But the extent of surprise that Iran has been caught with here is comparable to the extent of surprise that Israel was caught with on October 7th. It was beyond the thinking of the Iranian regime that Israel could pull this off, just like it was beyond the thinking in Israel that Hamas could pull off October 7th. Again, with all the caveats, not comparing morality, etc. I'm saying the extent of surprise and how the country had built up its defenses and it thought that it had such a deterrent towards the other side wouldn't dare to do this. So first of all, the concept of defense in Iran and the Iranian military in its strength and in how much it would threaten Israel appears to have been severely damaged, I'll say that. In terms of the military strength, their air defenses have not lived up to what they should have lived up. And this is something that Israel worked on for a lot of years. There were Mossad agents on the ground when the attack was launched. Mossad agents operated both technological means in order to disrupt all the air defenses and planted sabotage in order to disrupt the air defenses. In the first 6 hours of the attack, there was not a single surface-to-air missile that was fired at an Israeli fighter plane. That tells you something about the extent that the Mossad succeeded in actually disrupting those air defenses. In terms of defense, Iran clearly has been proven to not live up to what Israel has been planning. In terms of the offensive capabilities, Iran never expected to attack Israel using fighter planes. It just couldn't happen again through sheer geography. Iran's arsenal of fighter planes is much older than Israel. It goes back to part of the Soviet era to some extent. And in order to fly over airspace, it could not easily get over Iraq and Syria, where there's US bases, or Jordan. So in that sense, Iran never planned to have a counteroffensive through using its fighter jets. What Iran did plan to have a counteroffensive is through its missile capabilities. And that, on the one hand, has proven to not be as big a deterrent as Iran had hoped. According to some estimates, Iran had a plan, if it was ever attacked by Israel, to immediately launch 1,000 ballistic missiles. And that plan was foiled largely because of Israel's initial assassinations. The chain of command in Iran was simply broken. No one was there to give the order. So, to some extent, that's been broken on the one hand. On the other hand,
you
I would
imagine if
not
that
say
happens
that
tonight?
their offensive
You get
capabilities
1,000
have entirely disappeared
missiles,
or are not
ballistic,
posing a threat
hypersonic
to Israel.
missiles
There have been
hitting Israel at one time.
there's not exact numbers that have been published, but
Oh
likely
man,
400, give or take, ballistic missiles that have been fired at Israel. A lot of them have managed to get through the air defenses. They have caused a lot of destruction on the streets of Israel. Upwards of 40 people have been killed. But more than that, it's
wow,
almost like
40
bringing
people
the
have been
war
killed
home to
in
the
Israel.
streets of Israel in terms of Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, major cities in Israel that have never seen carnage are now seeing entire city blocks almost being attacked by missiles. And another thing is some
Wow,
images we're
look at
seeing right
that.
now. I believe that's from Bat Yam, another city in the center of Israel. Another thing that I'll say that Iran has not yet activated, but it could, is threatening the world economically. Iran has the ability to really disrupt the flow of oil throughout the world. Almost all, not almost all, but I'll say a good amount, maybe 30 to 40% of the world's oil production and export goes through the Persian Gulf and through the Straits of Hormuz. And Iran really is already threatened to start
That
cutting that
means
off.
Trump's
Now,
gonna have to get
someone
these people to drill
speculated,
more
which I think
oil.
was probably a leak from the Iranian government, that if the United States participates in the attack, they will start putting mines in the sea in order to stop the international trade going through the Straits of Hormuz. Iran still has offensive capabilities with its missiles and still has offensive capabilities in terms of the ability to disrupt world commerce, but its defensive capabilities are really where we're seeing they're lacking.
We asked the audience to send in their questions alone. Start with Wendy in Montana. What country has been helping Iran get nuclear capabilities? China?
Pakistan.
Russia? Both? Somebody else alone?
So it
Pakistan.
depends when. Iran has been aspiring to build up a nuclear
Pakistan.
option. There's different reports as to when it might have happened. Supposedly started in the 80s, but really went into full swing in the 90s and the early 2000s. The first to help them were the Soviet Union and later Russia, and they really did build some nuclear facilities. However, these were really largely limited to power plants that are only used for civilian purposes. They could theoretically be converted to military purposes, but it would take a lot more time than actually just building new facilities. So Russia has helped with knowledge and with some equipment, but not really in advancing the nuclear program that much. After that, there's China. China has also helped mostly with investment in developing nuclear plants and knowledge in Iran. And a third actor is North Korea. North Korea has also participated, again,
I
not
don't think
in
North Korea so
giving
much.
Iran the actual material to build nuclear weapons.
I think Pakistan, and they don't want to say
In
Pakistan,
helping actually get the assembly
but
materials.
I think
There
Pakistan has
ships
been helping
that came
Iran.
into the Bandar.
Their
Ports
scientists,
in
hello,
southern
were
Iran
from
that
Pakistan.
were coming from North Korea.
They
that
weren't
did have
Iranians; they were
equipment that would help in the
Pakistanians.
enrichment process.
So,
those three countries have
like,
participated,
be careful with the
one in a
news,
different way, in
because
helping Iran build
they're
itself up.
pushing
But
narratives
something
on
that's
here.
important
Make
to
sure you do
note
your
is
research,
Iran itself
do your
is
own
a very
research,
big country. It's a very
and
educated country. It's got a
educate
lot
yourself.
of knowledge internally, and most of what it's done internally. Most of what it's done, it's built up the knowledge and the materials. It has uranium mines in Iran that it is mining the equipment, then it is transporting them to refineries, then it is transporting them to the enrichment plants. A lot of what it's doing internally.
Yeah, they're doing it
Been
underground.
looking at images of Iran's supreme leader. There's been a lot of questions about the supreme leader. Let me
The
ask you
supreme
one
leader.
thing. We just watched the Assad regime being overthrown. Let's say the supreme leader sees the writing on the wall. Is there at all a possibility? Is this something that's being discussed? The idea of perhaps the supreme leader leaving Iran at some point. Is that something that has crossed your mind?
Be honest, not really, because it's very different than looking at the Assad regime. The Assad regime in Syria, Syria is very divided ethnically and divided according to religious lines as well. And the Assad regime was really an Alawite regime that is a proxy of Shiite Islam that was the basis for his alliance with Iran, it's a Shiite country. And really, the population of Syria, though, is 10, 11% Alawite and some 80% Sunni. So when the rebellion broke out, it was not solely on ethnic lines, but it ended up being a lot about ethnic lines and religious lines. So there was never the expectation
that the Assad regime would actually be able to again penetrate into the hearts and minds of all Syrians. If Assad were to last until now, and the way he lasted pretty much since 2014 with the assistance of Russia and Iran, it was through sheer repression. The supreme leader, the Islamic Republic, is a little bit different. There's no ethnic division or distinction or religious distinction between the leadership and the population. So
All right, I think I'm having a sound issue again because I got the stupid message again. So let me just take this off for a second and pop it back up. I'm getting pretty fast at this. Little by little, I'll get faster.
a lot of people see the regime and see the system and see also local councils and local elections. They see this as part of the way the country functions. So it's a lot harder to just assume that everyone's going to rise up because they just hate the dictator. We see him as purely a dictator. There, it's much more of a complicated system. And a second thing that's just important to remember, we don't tend to look at this when we're looking at, who we consider an enemy. But just like in Israel, or just like in the United States, or just like in any country, when you are attacked, especially by who is your mortal enemy, that tends to bring the country together. It tends to bring people to rally behind the flag, to rally behind the leader. We saw this in Israel. You were asking me, I think, last time we spoke about the fact that the entire opposition in Israel, with the exception of some very fringe parties, were all saying we're against Netanyahu. We want elections. We want to depose him, but we support this act. We support attacking Iran. We support removing the Iranian threat. There's a rallying behind the flag. Similar things are going to happen in Iran. In Iran, there are a lot of people who would like to see the replacement of the Islamic Republic. That does not mean that they are now going to go out and cheer as Israel continues to bomb Tehran. They see this actually as something that, to some extent, may weaken the regime, but we're not going to see them now rise up and say we're on Israel's side. What we might see is if the regime is weakened enough, like happened in Syria, by the way, if the regime is weakened enough, maybe afterwards, 6 months, a year later, we'll see that the opposition manages to rally behind. It's very unlikely to happen while the mortal enemy is flying planes across the capital.
Joe asks this: if the Iranian regime is removed or destroyed, what would likely happen as far as a new government in Iran? What happens, Alon?
So again, it really depends on how this regime is removed. If there is,
I wonder how they do this. Like, how can they just remove a regime? Because they did it with Iraq. They did it with Syria.
To unite the different parts,
and now they're going to try to do it with Iran.
Hopefully, would do so without bloodshed. Although typically,
it's like a free for all, like change regimes.
In Iran, there are divisions based on geographic location.
How outsiders could come and just change your country.
Pakistan
it's so unique, right?
Affinity to the entire,
it's so weird.
Region that is in Pakistan. Then there are ethnic divisions to some extent between people in the north and people in the south.
It's like you have people that come out from the outside and they try to control your narrative.
If the government were to suddenly
fall, it doesn't sit well with the world, so they have to come and change it.
Then
that's
it could
crazy.
Also go the way of Libya. It could also go the way of complete disintegration.
I mean, Trump is doing the right thing and standing down and seeing what happens.
Being drug lords,
he's at the ready.
Achieve power, but actually, in order to say, well, now we want
one false move by Iran and that goes crazy.
In different areas, when all of a sudden
Trump is going to make that call. And then all hell's going to break loose.
Leaders will come up and say,
because the U.S. it's going to take them attacking like
in Iran.
they
It's
use
more
the
likely to be
U.S.
held
troops
together
in Iraq
because there's a long
and
history
in
of the country being
Syria.
more held
If
together.
they
But it's
attack
very hard to
them
know at
and
this
they
point.
come
What
under
will matter,
fire
though,
and so
is
forth,
how that
and
happens. If it's a
if there's
rebellion
troops that,
internally,
you know,
probably
if
there will be more of an attempt
God
to unite
forbid, if
everyone.
they lose
If it's
their
one
lives,
imposed externally,
it's
like we
on.
saw in
You
Iran,
know,
more
it's
likely
like,
we'll see division
okay,
and fracture.
that was
Nelson
the line that
asks,
they crossed,
what
and
would a nuclear deal look like for Iran on Iran's part? They ask, will the complete and total surrender take every option off the table? And I think more or less what's being asked here is, what does Iran want out of this deal? Obviously, where they're trying to go here and the
yeah,
pressure
but they don't
that the
know.
U.S.
There's
and
a lot
Israel are
of
trying to
hidden
put
stuff
on
underground, man.
Iran is to lead to
Under
some sort of deal
mountains,
to
under
do this without
mountains.
military activity. That's what
That
we're
it would
hearing from
take
President Trump.
more than
Nelson
one
asks,
bunker
what
buster
would a
bomb
nuclear
to get
deal
to.
look like for Iran?
That's
In
how
other
deep
words,
in the
what
mountain
would
it
Iran
is.
get out of that deal?
Like you would have to
Hypothetically.
hit it with like
So
multiple,
when the negotiations
multiple
were happening
times,
prior to this attack, what Iran
and still
mostly
have a hard
wanted
time
was a
penetrating.
removal of sanctions. There are a lot of sanctions on Iran that really
So,
cripple its ability to
but they
develop
have.
itself
I see it.
economically.
I can see
There are
them.
sanctions on
They're
oil
all
deals
underground,
between Iran and
and their
lots of
missiles
countries.
and
There are sanctions
the
on countries selling
capabilities is
weapons to Iran.
underground.
Now,
It's
Iran does
hidden.
bypass some
It's
of
like a
these
hidden
with its
fucking
trade
thing,
agreements
man.
with
It's
Russia
so
and to some
fucking
extent China,
crazy.
but it would like to remove these sanctions. It would like to be able to be more open in terms of its connections to the world and to build up its economy. That was what Iran wanted to achieve. What it was willing to
Let me
give
make myself
previously
smaller so we can see the
was
text here.
forestalling its nuclear plan. It said that it was not going to give up its nuclear capabilities, wasn't going to give up its pursuit of what it said it was a civilian nuclear program, but it was willing to allow an imposition of enriching less uranium or possibly U.S. or international inspectors in their plans and things like that. That was what Iran wanted before. Now, Iran, Israel and the United States are hoping would be willing to say, you know what? We give up. We give up, not in the sense that we surrender,
Nah,
take over
that's
our
too
country. We
easy.
give up on the nuclear program.
Something's not right
There
here.
is some precedent to this. Other
Something is.
countries, Libya,
Okay, hold
pursued
on.
a nuclear program back at the beginning of the 20th.
Okay. Shh. I'm gonna actually let it play in the background. I'm just gonna silence him. Cause what if, you know, Iran's been a bully a long time, right? They've done crazy shit, you know, in the past. And they're still a little wild today. But what if they're really smart, right? What if that their main capabilities, like the bomb, like the atomic bomb and stuff like that, they have it under a mountain, and satellites cannot pick up on it because they have like jammers that can't penetrate and can't view certain parts in certain places. Um, it's like invisible type of like cover, and they have a lot of these weapons like stocked up in there that you think you only have like 2,000, 3,000 hypersonic missiles. In reality, you have like 5, 6, maybe 1,000. Just cause Biden, during the horrible Biden years, the disaster of Biden, gave Iran some of their money back, and the money was a total around $6 billion. $6 billion was given to Iran. What do you think Iran was going to do with that money? With $6 billion. What would you do with that money? For those watching and rewatching, you can leave a comment What would you do with $6 billion if you got into this part of the show? It's almost close to 3 hours. I'm gonna be finishing up soon. Give it another like 19 minutes. I'll get off at like 11:30 here. Unless something breaks loose, then I won't be sleeping soon. But I want to get some sleep because I think tomorrow's gonna be a pretty interesting, day. That 666 18 on a 6 month. Iran could say fuck it, and they give the orders, and they just go boom. They just go for it. It could happen. It can happen. Let me see. Let me put this on play, and I'll just speak because they're just yapping there. When I see the action, that's when I want to hear them. But right now, they're giving me a headache sometimes. When I hear them too much, it's like, okay, it's gonna give me a headache. I already have a headache as it is, but I think that's the energy that's in the air because there's a lot of strong energy. If you don't feel it, I don't know. I feel it, and I have a lot of metal in my body, so especially in my neck. I always say I'm the walking antenna. It's like I intercept just like satellites. I feel the energy, and it's just a lot of tension, and Iran has lost a lot of people. They're underreporting the deaths, but the deaths has come out up to about 300 to 400 people. They're just reporting around the 200 mark of deaths in Iran. I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's a lot more than meets the eye, and I truly believe it's underreported because Israel is, they're not gonna talk bad about Israel. You know what I mean? The media, it's very weird. This is it reminds me of the Hunger Games. It gives me Hunger Games feelings. And with the propaganda and stuff, and like towards the end with the propaganda, and everyone from their districts have to show up, and participate to the death, and it's all a 4D chess match, and Trump's, he's pretty good. He's a good individual. He's patient. This shows patience and maybe strength by patience, because they're building up, and like I said, like, don't poke the bear if you don't think the fucking bear's gonna come and attack you. That motherfucker's gonna be like, come here, motherfucker. And, oh no, I got bit by a fucking bear. I was like, yeah, it happens. It fucking happens. Um, There's just gonna be, it's a weird time that we're in. We're in very, very historical times, very special times. This what we were living in right now is going into history books. This will be in history books. Everything that's going on now is going into history books, and people in the past and the future will be studying this. They will be studying this. Not so much me, but I hope they did. I hope they do. And if you are, thank you. I appreciate that. That was nice. But I'm probably dead. I'm probably dead by the time you guys get to watch this. I'll be long gone. But you guys can enjoy it. I have like 600 and something videos here. I know I'm in the 660s. I'm almost at 666. I probably passed 666. Let me see. I'll find out. Maybe I did pass 666. Oh, more. I got some news I want to share. I just saw something here. Hold on, let me click it so it makes it easier for me to find it. Let me see. Okay, I see a message here that I could share. This is coming from Al Jazeera. It's English, and it states IRGC claims complete control over Israel's skies. The Iranian Revolution Guard Corps has issued a statement on its latest attack against Israel. In a statement carried by Iranian news agency, the IRGC said its powerful and maneuverable Fatah missiles broke through Israel's missile defense shield, sending a message of Iranian authority to the rival country. It said the missile attack showed we have gained complete control over the skies of the occupied territories and that its residents are completely defenseless against Iranian attacks. There were no further details. According to Israel media, the latest barrage set off explosives over Tel Aviv and ignited a fire at a parking lot. It is not clear if there were other hits as Israel censors information about impacts at strategic sites. The IRGC statement comes after Trump also claimed complete control over Iranian skies and determined the country's unconditional surrender. So, and he demanded the country's unconditional surrender. Trump is asking for them to surrender. And that was a statement that was from the IRGC, which is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So direct message from them, and this was about 2 hours ago that this message was posted. Very fucking interesting, and it is coming as breaking news. That's wild. So I do have some stuff that we could watch real quick. Let me just bring it up here because I just saw it on my phone, so it's in my history. You gotta use technology to your advantage, you know? You got to. And since it's here, I'm gonna use it to the fullest. Open up these two here. Let me set it up so we can watch. Give me one sec. It always takes me a moment because when it's live, it's not as fluent, and you have to prep everything, especially if you're opening windows on the fly, and then you have a lot of windows, and I gotta close some of these. No, but all of them are go. Let me see. This one I gotta close. This one too. That way it makes it easier for me to set all this up. Okay, so this one is I really want. This one's the 5-minute one, and this one's the 15-minute one. We'll leave the 15-minute one for last. Let's watch this one here. Yeah, that's all set up. Okay, let me make it bigger. Make me smaller. Let's check this out.
But I do think over time, we have the capability to render that particular site ineffective.
Don't need some
it's
of it.
obviously underneath
Yeah,
the
$6
mountain,
billion.
and I think
Motherfucker gets
the
me money
engineers are
too.
contributing to how you do
Iran,
that. But
I can use a loan.
likely has to
You got
collapse down
$6
on
billion.
itself. So I think it's achievable, but it's a formidable target.
That's General Jack Keane with us last hour talking about the challenge posed by Iran's Fordo nuclear plant, which so far has not been touched in this war, we believe, based on the reporting there. It's believed to be located about 300 feet beneath a mountain. It could potentially be taken out by an American bomb known as a bunker buster. Meanwhile, at the White House,
It's going to take a lot of bunker busters.
National security team.
That is not an easy task.
He came back from the
I'll
G7
tell you right now,
in
that's not an
Canada
easy
a day
task.
early for that meeting in person. Dan Hoffman's with me now, and Dan, good morning to you.
Trump should know this.
Take us
That's
through
not
the
easy.
thought process before you start blowing up mountains in Iran.
Yeah.
Take us through the thought process on behalf of the Israelis / United States on this first.
And they're in a lot of mountains.
Yeah, Bill, I can tell you from my decades-long career at CIA, we don't do policy at the CIA. We recruit spies and steal secrets, but I was a backbencher many times during policy deliberations of this sort. And what I expect the president will be hearing from his advisors are, what are the options to get to the end state that we want? And remember why the Trump administration withdrew from the JCPOA in the first Trump administration. It was because of the nuclear program, the sunset clauses, because JCPOA did not deal with Iran's ballistic missile program, as well as Iran's proxy terrorist network. And so right now we've got a better opportunity than we've ever had before to deal with those three challenges for our national security. It doesn't mean we have to blow up Fordo, but it does mean that Iran is going to have to, in the words of their supreme leader, drink from the poison chalice and agree to a serious round of negotiations where we get to the end state that we want. Intelligence collection is going to be key on Iran's plans and intentions, their military, their intelligence, and their clerics. I imagine that we're on a full court press to provide the president with what he needs.
Well, let's talk about the Iranian side here on the ballistic missiles. It's essentially because they have no air power to take down, to control the skies. Ballistic missiles are about the only thing they have to threaten Iran today. Benjamin Netanyahu said the other day, if you do not halt their missile program, they could build 3,600 a year. Well, we believe when the war started 5 days ago that they had 3,000.
No, they have more
I
than
thought
that.
of those 3,000, about 1,000 had the ability to travel the 1,500 kilometers or 900 miles from Tehran to Tel Aviv. And if the Iranians have already fired 400 of those missiles, they have a calculation to make, Dan, because that country right now is cornered and will be even more so very soon.
Yeah, and as you noted, Israel owns the skies. Remember, a year ago, April, Israel destroyed Iran's air defenses. Israel's got covert operatives on the ground. They've been lethally targeting Iran's military, senior military leaders, and their nuclear scientists. Israel owns the battle space. And Iran's regime security right now is more tenuous than it's ever been since going back to its war against Iraq in the 1980s. And so the question is whether we are going to strike a deal now, as President Trump would like to do now. Maybe Iran won't want to make a deal, and maybe they'll rush for a nuclear weapon now, in which case we may not have any other choice than to pursue a military option. But I would expect this president to pursue every and all available means to negotiate a way out of this, if indeed there is an opportunity to do so.
All right, there was a report, I don't know if it's the case, but there was a report that the Iranian leadership, those who are still in power and alive, said don't communicate by our regular communications anymore. The suggestion there I took away is that the Iranians have infiltrated that entire country. And just the thought on what they've been able to execute here, literally, when you've got a brand new leader of the army get taken out within a matter of days after he was elevated to that job.
Listen, the key thing in wartime is to find, fix, and finish your targets, and that depends on intelligence. Israel's got Iran wired, and they're able to collect on everyone's location, just like they did with Hezbollah and the pager operation, Bill. And that gives Israel a significant upper hand, as we've seen in this war.
Dan, nice to see you. Thanks. We'll talk again very soon. Dan Hoffman with his
too.
analysis. Thank you very much. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
That with a G7 before the president left late last night up in Canada there. And this is the truth. Social that they sent out. Everyone should immediately evacuate it. Easier said than done in the city of Tehran. City itself has upwards of 9.5 to 10 million people. The surrounding metropolitan area of Tehran, upwards of 17 million. The country itself is massive. It's about the size of Alaska. It's twice the size of Texas. You could take 75 Israels and put it inside, fit it inside the geography of Iran. That's what you're dealing with here. The borders are extensive and long with Iraq. It's about 1,000 miles in length. Several up here with Armenia and Azerbaijan. Turkmenistan, you see as well. Afghanistan. Pakistan's got a border that extends about 500 miles. This is thus far what these neighboring countries have done. Pakistan announced its borders closed yesterday. Azerbaijan has done it as well. The airspace is closed over Tehran. Many of those taillights you see in the video that we've been showing for the last 2 days, it's been reported that many folks who live in Tehran are heading north to the Caspian Sea. There's the taillights there on the highways. They are jammed at night. It is so easy to see based on the video when the night gets dark. And up here, just back on the map quickly, this is the Caspian Sea in the north here. And that's where they believe a lot of folks are trying to seek refuge at the moment. General Jack Keen's with us now. And General, thank you for your time yet again with Jack and me. Jackie, why don't you begin with that specific question that we were talking about from the New York Times? Let's start there.
General King, thank you for being here. You know, I guess the real question that everyone's facing right now and the president is facing is how does this become a successful operation? And there's a lot of suggestion that it can't be a success if Fordo is still enriching at the end of it. But the U.S. military has been sort of mapping out what this would look like. And here's what the New York Times writes. The exercises led to the conclusion that one bomb would not solve the problem. Any attack on Fordo would have to come in waves, with B-2s releasing one bomb after another down the same hole. And the operation would have to be executed by an American pilot and crew. Is there a second option, a ground option that the president might have on his menu of choices?
Well, certainly there are a number of options, and the real issue is that if the United States is going to do something here, it's likely going to be from the air because we have that capability. And let me say that if the United States was leading this campaign and Israel was supporting us, this would be a very complex and challenging set of targets to deal with Iran's complete nuclear enterprise that exceeds more than 12 bases out there where this enterprise is located, and some of them are buried under the ground. And they've spread out their enrichment, they've spread out their centrifuges to make this a difficult challenge. And the Ayatollah and his people have always had the thought, and this is why they never dismantled their nuclear program as a result of negotiations. They believe that they can absorb an air attack.
How long it takes to build that?
So many of their capability is buried under the ground. They can survive that air attack in terms of capability, recover, and
how long is it going to take to
always
fucking
considered
blow that
to
up?
be a better option than voluntarily dismantling the program, which is what the Obama administration wanted them to do, and they conceded it very early in the negotiations and gave up the idea. That is the Obama administration. The Trump administration worked it for many, many weeks and got the same response pretty much from the Ayatollah and his negotiators. They weren't about to do it. And the reason is pretty obvious, because if he voluntarily gave it up with verification, it's gone. An airstrike, as complex, as tough as it is, he believes, and he has advisors to tell him that, he can survive it and recover the enterprise and rebuild it and still put a nuclear package together that will threaten Israel and the region. That's where these guys are.
General, just getting word now out of Tel Aviv, the Israeli military is saying it's completed yet another wave of attacks in western Iran, saying that happened a short time ago. Look at the U.S. Navy assets in the region. We were told yesterday the USS Nimitz was heading westbound through the Singapore Strait.
Oh my God!
We certainly want to make sure that our 40,000 men and women in that region are taken care of and in good safekeeping. Back to this bunker buster possibility.
And then
30,000-pound weapon dropped by a B-2 bomber, possibly on this mountain.
Things turn ugly.
What is your level of confidence?
You know, they could use an atomic weapon. They could use a nuclear weapon.
Could do the job.
And you know,
I have no idea how
like
many it would
anything's
take.
possible,
I
man. I just witnessed a lot of things in my life. And
if
I
that's
think
what's
life
taking
is not
place.
going, you know.
But I do
we
think
gotta live forever,
over time,
okay?
we have the capability to render
But I'm witnessing
that
this.
particular site ineffective.
And it's like,
it's obviously underneath
amazing,
a mountain.
you know,
and I
it's
think
like,
the
wow,
engineers are
how
contributing
things are going
to
so
how
fast.
you do that. But
And how these people
likely has
build
to collapse
nuclear
down on
sites and
itself.
nuclear facilities.
So I think it's achievable,
and
but
no
it's a
one did
formidable
nothing for
target.
decades.
And it
That
would
takes
take
decades
likely
to build.
successive
That's not
attacks
something that you just
to
build
do
right
it.
away and you just had it like,
But
yeah,
the
I just had
reality
it built.
is,
Like, no, that takes a
the issue
long
is, what
time.
if we don't do that?
And a lot of precision.
And what if we take a knee that
you
some
know,
people are saying that this is going to
man.
lead to another forever war? And let's take that off the table
I
pretty
wonder how
quick
much
here.
the Democrats
The
got
United
paid
States and
to shut
Israel
the
has
fuck
no
up and not
intention
do
of
anything
conducting a
and let
ground
these people build
invasion
all these
of
facilities
Iran,
under their
similar to
nose.
what we did in Iraq
And
and
then Biden comes
Afghanistan.
and
The
gives them
purpose
$6
of which
billion.
was for regime
Are you
change,
kidding
was
me?
for occupation,
Are you
which
fucking
led to
kidding me?
nation
Like the
building.
U.S. gave
And the length of
fucking
that
Iran
protracted the war, and
$6
that
billion.
is a lousy taste people have in their mouth about it. But that's not on the plan here for anybody. This is an air campaign
wants
by
a loan.
Israel,
He's like,
and if the
fuck
United
that.
States get involved in it, we
He
are
wants that loan.
supporting that air campaign with
And
a
he said he ain't
limited
paying
but
that
very
shit back.
focused
So
attack
don't expect
on
it
maybe
back.
one or two of their buried facilities,
Lord.
and that's it.
Yeah, understood.
And then we would have to prepare for retaliation, was what you're just describing. The assets in the region are not only to protect our troops that are in those multiple bases, 40,000, but also to retaliate against Iran. And that would be quite decisively if they attacked us as a result of our participation in the campaign, or just attacked us in general.
Just to be clear, my question was not implying it would be any sort of land invasion. It was just whether or not that asset, that 30,000-pound bomb, could do the job. And maybe at some point we see whether that's the case
They're
or
putting
not.
their chips
General,
on
thank
one
you for
bomb?
coming back. We'll talk again later today.
kidding
Jack
me?
Kane, thank you, sir.
Thank you, General.
So
I'm
it's
Stu
gonna
Dusey.
take
I'm
more
Brian
than
Kilby.
just, like, okay. Oh my goodness, the U.S. man. It's like the world, right? But it's not. It's gonna take more than a bomb. Okay, and I look robotic. I don't know why. Maybe they're tapping into me and they're like, "We're watching you, motherfucker." I was like, "Okay." It's gonna take more than one bomb, and it's gonna take a lot of trips. A lot of trips. Like, you gotta hit that facility so many times to penetrate, and how deep it is. Like, it would need to be a new weapon that the United States possibly has to be able to go that deep. Will the U.S. show their hand and what they're capable of? I mean, Russia showed their hand a little bit with that hypersonic missiles, like with the warheads hitting. They didn't have no explosives in it. They didn't have any, like, nothing dangerous in it. It was just to show you what we're capable of. But Iran, on the other hand, has those hypersonics and the ballistic missiles. And yes, the Iron Dome is picking up, and David sling and the other one, the Patriot missile. Every time I think about the Patriot missile, I think it's such an old technology. I think it's not like it's okay, but it's not really great. It's good, but it's not great. It's something better than nothing, right? But I think Israel's could have so much of a better defense system if they were to invest and get into the laser game for defense, like for these missiles, because these missiles can be detected from like a good amount of time before it comes downward, and they can be exploded from above that high with lasers, and these lasers are so powerful that they will explode the bombs like up in the sky, and and you can mount these on top of buildings and so forth, and they're very powerful lasers, but they will destroy the missiles. And that's how the future is going to be. It's the defense will be lasers. And like Austin Powers, if you watch the Austin Powers with the sharks with the lasers, that was a sign. They told you the future is lasers. It's always been Star Wars. Look at Star Wars. They use a lot of lasers. It's the future. That's what they're trying to get to. Like guns is going to be so antique. It's going to be like laser like guns that shoots like plasma that can burn a hole through your body. Like that's crazy shit, right? And you can control the strength of the laser. That's like it can make it non-lethal, you can make it lethal. Like there's already weapons like that, like that's already in production and stuff, and there's already lasers on ships that protects them from drones and missiles incoming, like they explode before even trying to get close to the ship. I think that's something that Israel needs to really focus on, is upgrading their missile defense system with laser defense system, a state-of-the-art, high-powered laser system that would annihilate any missile that will come through, like without a question. And you could place these around the border. You could place it within Tel Aviv and all the cities around Israel, and it will protect. It would be I think golden, because Trump with the golden dome, he wants the golden dome. Well, Israel could have like the platinum dome, like bigger than the golden and stronger through lasers and a laser defense system. Like, yeah, you could do it. If I'm thinking about it, trust me, they can do it. And watch the people in the future. He's like, oh my God, this guy was a fucking prophet. Look, he fucking predicted the lasers. And look, they have lasers. I'm just saying, man. All right, let's go back to some news here. Let's check this one out. Let me set it up. I hope everyone's having a good night. I'm about to get off here soon, so I'm not going to try to be on here too long. I am going to take a final look at Jerusalem before I leave for the night. I'll be on tomorrow, definitely, to cover what happens. I'll probably come on a little earlier during the day, probably, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock, just to be here for the evening, for their evening over there, and see if there's a massive, something massive happens, because the U.S. wouldn't just mobilize their fleet and more military assets going to the Middle East for no reason, okay? This costs us a lot of money. this costs us a lot of taxpayer money. And like they're doing this. There's a reason. This is a deterrence move. This is like another way to show force. Like we're not bluffing. We're moving our pieces on this chessboard, and it's the game risk, and it's like countries fighting against countries and trying to overtake countries, and they've done this throughout so many generations and lifetimes before us, and it's still happening today. No one has ever learned. Everybody's so selfish and greedy, and that's the problem with society: the greed, and the selfishness. It's very toxic. It's very harmful, and AI technology, like the internet, has really it was very helpful. It is very helpful, but it's also very evil and very cruel and very malicious. And the internet is not safe. Never will be safe. And yeah, just be careful what you post on the internet. Like just be careful with your devices. It's just gonna get weird here in the United States, because like I said, there are sleeper cells here in the United States, and I feel them. They're everywhere, and once that like code is released, they're gonna cause really terrible harm to the individuals here in America. So just keep an eye on everything, know your surroundings, keep your head on a swivel, but enjoy life, but still guard up. Always guard up. And let's watch this, and I think this would be the last thing I'm going to show, because I'm definitely going to go to bed because I'm tired. You know what I mean? I am tired. Let me see here. I want to take a picture, a look at Jerusalem real quick. Here it is. Let's see. Yeah. It's such a great view. Beautiful, but is this going to be the last time we see this view like this? Is Iran going to go with the blitz and blitz Israel, because they know they could overwhelm the system with just 80 to 100 missiles? They overwhelmed the system and they were able to penetrate. Remember, it takes one to cause terrible harm and takes a lot of lives. And a lot of missiles did make impact. And not only that, but they're suppressing the news that what's coming out of Israel. They don't want to report how many areas that got destroyed and how many people are killed, the exact number. They're not going to say that. They'll say a low number, but they won't say the exact number because it is pretty high. And there's a lot of destruction. Like, so many people died in their sleep, and it's just it's very nightmarish. And those people are really suffering. Israel is really suffering. But they won't say that. They say, no, we're strong and we're taking it like in the chin, and we're indestructible, and we're gonna attack and attack and attack. and you're just a mosquito attacking a bull. Yes, you might have hit certain targets, and you're celebrating, and you're like, yay, but you don't understand. Iran is fucking big. Iran is a fucking big country. Iran is so big, like it dwarfs like Israel. You could put, like they were saying, you could put like, what was it, like 75 Israels in Iran, and you still need more land to complete the whole, like, to fit inside Iran. And remember, Iran's been doing this for decades and decades, where they buried, like they dug down and made sure they hid your shit in mountains. There's a lot of equipment in the mountains. It's all right. Let's go to the last news for the night, and then I'll sign off, and then I'll be back tomorrow, and I'm hoping everything will be all right. It will be all right. If it gets scary, well, I'll be here for you guys. But let's hope that this is not the last time we see, like, the West Wall and Jerusalem. Make this not be the last time we see this image, okay? Because it would be really sad if they went ahead and they shot up 1,000, like, of the hypersonic missiles, and they will penetrate 1,000. It will overwhelm the system. They can't. Iron Dome cannot withstand that. Not the Patriot, not the Davis Sling, none of that can stop 1,000 ballistic missiles raining down on you at one time. Will that trigger the U.S. to jump in? I think so. I think if that right there, that's because you're going after like the humanity part of it, and you're not really caring about the humanity part. And the U.S. Has a heart, and so does Trump. And having innocent people die like that way is unacceptable. And I think that will really trigger Trump to do something. And if he's going to do something, he's going to go real big and fast. We may have to use really strong weapons to blast a lot of these underground facilities. They might not get them all because they have a lot, man. This is what happens when they go undetected, and, like, no inspections in Iran, no inspections of the atomic energy, nothing. Then, like, and then you let them go like this for decades, and then now you want to come and control the narrative and try to blow them all up. You're gonna, like, pollute Iran with radiation everywhere. It's just not a win-win situation. Humanity lose. That's it. It's just so stupid. That's stupid. But I blame this on previous presidents down the line, and, in a sense, I also have to blame Trump, because Trump was in office for 4 years, and he could have done something about this then, and he just let it go and really didn't do much besides not give him the money. And when Trump lost to Biden, which that election is very in question, but that's my opinion, and I stick to my opinion and my feelings and what I know. Biden just handed over $6 billion to fucking Iran and just said, here's the money. Go buy yourself some uranium and the parts that you need to build the bomb. You have plenty of money to do it, and you have a 4-year head start. Like, that's despicable. All right, they finished here, so I could get off of here. I want to go to the last story. It's over here. I'll be back on this channel later on today on the AP, because, like I said, this evening is probably one of the biggest that we're gonna witness. It can happen in the daytime or it can happen at night. It's more ooh and ah at night, because you see the missiles all over the place exploding and so forth. And I just really hope that it doesn't knock down big buildings. Like, they send over big, hypersonic missiles with warheads on it and hits like high rises, and having high rises completely tumble over would be horrible. Would be a lot of deaths, and I hope a lot of people heed the warnings when you hear the sirens. Fucking run to the bunkers, and those are not even guaranteed neither. So just man, it's gonna be wild. So let's go to this last story, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. And thank you for everyone who's watching. I truly appreciate it. And for those who are rewatching, thank you so much. And the ones from the future, what's up? Oh man. All right, let's get this started.
Senator Lindsey Graham, I want to put up the headline from the president on True Social that he tweeted last hour. He said 2 words, unconditional surrender. What, Senator, does that mean to you in regards to the Ayatollah in Iran?
It suggests to me that the president believes that the nuclear program cannot be ended through diplomacy, that unconditional surrender is a sign, is a term often used with a war. And I talked to the president last night. I just want to say this. I'm so glad he is where he is at. He's the right guy at the right time. He's calm as he can be. He's resolved. He's steady. I think he's done a marvelous job of handling this conflict. And I believe the sun is about to set on the Iran nuclear ambitions. They need our help, Israel does, to take out Fordo. They need help from us. I'm hoping the president will provide Israel the help they need to finish the job of the last nuclear site underground. And if we accomplish destroying the Iranian nuclear program, it will be historic for the region and historic for the world. This is a religious Nazi regime bent on purifying Islam, destroying the Jewish state, and coming after us. They're religious Nazis. And this regime does not need, nor can they ever have, a nuclear weapon. And Donald Trump is about to put a period on that statement.
So, Senator, we don't know for sure, but we believe that the meeting in the Situation Room with the National Security Council may be to decide whether or not the U.S. does dispatch B-2 bombers to take down the enrichment facility at Fordo. You believe firmly that the president should decide in the affirmative on that?
Well, I've said from the very beginning, it is in our national security interest to make sure Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. They're an existential threat to our friends in Israel. They really do mean death to Israel, but they also mean death to America. There's no doubt in my mind that if the Ayatollah had a nuclear weapon, he would use it to destroy Israel as part of his religious agenda. His religious agenda includes purifying Islam, going after Sunni Saudi Arabia, destroying the Jewish state, and coming after us because we're infidels. He is literally a religious Nazi. So it is my belief that President Trump understands the threat the Ayatollah presents to us, not just Israel, and that he will, at the end of the day, help Israel finish the job. And that will require, I think, weapons that Israel doesn't possess, and maybe joint military operations.
There's also a question about what to do about the Ayatollah. The president put this out on Truth Social shortly before we went on the air. He said, quote, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. but we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. You part ways with the president on that issue. You think he should be taken out?
Well, I trust President's judgment. Very much I trust his judgment. And I think for now, as a term the Ayatollah should understand in Trump world is ever changing. So what is the president trying to do? He's letting the Ayatollah know if you attack American interests, that's the end of you and your regime. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to make the case that ending Iran's nuclear ambitions is not only good for Israel, it's good for us. And they're the weakest they've been since 1979. This region since 1979 has been this regime has been repressing their people, trying to destroy Israel and have American blood on their hands. I hope it's eliminated. I would like to see this regime fall, but I'm going to leave it up to the president as to what to do and when to do it. But I do know this. If we don't take out their nuclear program now, we'll all regret it. We're very close. Be all in, Mr. President, in helping Israel finish the job.
I mean,
and
yes,
let's see where
take
we're
out the
at
nuclear
after
stuff,
we
but I still don't
neutralize
trust
our
he
nuclear
did.
program.
And in terms of the Ayatollah and whether or not he stays or he goes with force on either the part of the Israelis or someone else. We were talking to Michael Orr, the former Israeli ambassador to the United States last hour, who thought that like Hirohito at the end of World War II, Israel and the president of the United States might want an authority figure in place to sign the necessary documents for capitulation. Do you agree with that or not?
Well, that's not a bad point to make. And I don't want to overly analyze this. I just know since 1979, Iran has been the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They have American blood on their hands, and they want to wipe out our friends in Israel and eventually come after us. As to what should happen and when should it happen, I think it's imperative we finish the job regarding their nuclear capability as soon as possible. As whether or not the Ayatollah stays or goes, I'll leave that up to the president. But I want to let the American people know Iran is incredibly wounded. Their command and control is virtually destroyed. They're in disarray and they're very dangerous. I don't want to underestimate the danger of being involved in these operations, but the danger of Iran having a nuclear weapon or surviving as a state sponsor of terrorism is far greater than the danger of trying to end the threat. So that's the decision President Trump has to make. And I think he's the right guy at the right time to make that decision. But I'm hoping the sun is setting not only on their nuclear program, but the regime itself. Sooner they leave the world stage, the better the world will be. We can have true peace in the Mideast only if the regime falls, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, they do upset the apple cart in so many ways in the Middle East, and there are a lot of people there who believe that the reason why that region is not more stable is because of Iran. Saudi Arabia would like to see the theocracy gone. Yes. I know the Emirates would, and many other Arab states as well. But then there's the question of what happens if there is a power vacuum there. We saw all too well what happened in Iraq. We saw what happened in Afghanistan when the Taliban took over in literally a matter of hours. You've got competing factions as well who would vie to take over Iran. On the one side, you've got the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, who would like to go in as an interim leader. The other side of that fence, you've got the NCRI, the National Council for Resistance in Iran, which used to be the MEK, which a lot of people in Iran say would be worse than the Ayatollah. So what steps into the vacuum if the regime falls?
Well, I think what will happen is the Iranian people will know freedom for the first time since 1979. You know, people probably asked that about Hitler in the 30s. What would happen in Germany if we took him out in the mid-30s? Well, I wish we had, because we know what happened when they let him stay in power. And here's what I can say. Taking the Ayatollah's regime down is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I'm willing to risk what happens next because I know what's going to happen if they stay in power. They're going to keep trying to destroy Israel. They're going to keep fomenting terrorism, and they're going to try to build a bomb, and they'll use it until they're gone. Their goal is...
He's just trying to scream out his message, and he's just giving me a headache, and I don't want a headache before I go to sleep. Nobody wants a headache before I go to sleep, right? It's like you want to go sleep in peace and like relaxation, and I think I just gotta stop watching that because it seems like they want to up it, and it seems like another force is getting in the way of things going on in the world. There's the ones behind the scenes, the puppet masters, are pretty much, this is their thing. This is what they want. So, and Leslie Graham, I don't never trusted that guy. I don't like him. For some reason, I just don't like him. I don't trust his thinking, and he's one of the Republicans I just really don't trust at all. Because remember, you got some weird people on both aisles. It's not just the Democrats. Republicans have some wild motherfuckers too. For real. It's like how the hell did you, like, I'm not even gonna start. But it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens. Let's all get some rest. Wherever we're at here, it's nighttime, so good night for those over here in the East Coast, in the United States, where it's nice and nighttime right now. It's past midnight, and it's nighttime here in the United States. Morning time over in Israel and Iran, and getting to early morning over in the UK. And I wish everyone a good day. Okay, have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll definitely catch everybody on the flip side. And tomorrow, well, in the morning, well, I say tomorrow because it's already today. I'm catching up to the future. I'm catching up. I'll be on. We'll be talking about what's going on, and if any threats and anything that goes popping, I'll try to, if it happens in the morning, or I'll try to cover it as much as I can and show you guys as much as possible on my end. So I'll try to do my best. It's a unique time, it's a great time, to be alive and to witness what we're witnessing. There's a lot of people that haven't gone through some kind of like craziness like this before, and we've never gone through something like this with Iran. We've went through Iraq and multiple wars in Iraq, Afghanistan also, and now Iran. Like, we weren't able to conquer freaking Afghanistan. They like, Biden fucked up Afghanistan, and Afghanistan ended up keeping all our weapons and our so much freaking equipment that's there in Afghanistan. And yeah, it was a fucking embarrassment. Biden just embarrassed the it's just the worst, I tell you. And the fact that fucking Biden gave $6 billion to Iran was the cherry on the top. And now we gotta fight against this regime that is playing possum right now. They're playing possum, and they think they're trying to make Israel feel complacent, and they're catching them. And I hope they don't catch them off guard. And that's why I think about the big surprise is like, we'll see. We'll see. I'll sleep on it, and we'll talk more later on today. It feels weird saying that later on today. It's fucking, I haven't slept yet. But that's what it is. Have a good night, everyone. See you in the morning. Bye.